Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Good morning, ma'am.
Audible.
Morning. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. I think Captain Ved already joined, Latika,
Yes, sir.
and
We'll be starting in a few minutes.
okay. Other of our speakers, I will see them too.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Latika ma'am, good morning.
Good morning,
I
Dana, ma'am.
need to ask one thing. Is it mandatory to join the meeting along with the camera or video on?
No, ma'am. You can keep your videos off.
Thank you so much. Actually, there is some issue with my camera. That's why I'm asking.
No issues, ma'am. No
Thank you
issues.
so much.
Good morning, Jaspreet.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. We'll be starting in few minutes. We are waiting for our guests to arrive.
Sure.
Good morning, everyone. May I request all the participants to keep yourselves on mute for the session. The queries and questions will be taken by the dignitaries at the end of their address. So you are requested to note down your questions and put them in the chat box. We'll be taking up the relevant questions after this session. The long-term sustained success of an organization in today's changing and challenging business environment involves the management's commitment to designing and implementing HRM programs geared to developing both high-performing employees and organizations. This can be done by having specific plans to obtain, develop, and retain an optimal workforce which can meet the needs of a successful organization in today's global, dynamic, and highly competitive environment. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I, Latika Malhotra, on behalf of Banarsidass Chandiwala Institute of Professional Studies, Dwarka, welcome you all to Manthan, the HR Conclave on Organizational Success through Effective Human Resource Management, the Post-COVID Trend. As someone very wisely said, gaining knowledge is the first step to wisdom, sharing it is the first step to humanity. To invocate for knowledge, wisdom, and enlightenment, let us begin the event on an auspicious note. May I request our technical team to play Saraswati Vandana.
या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहार धवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रामृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतं शङ्करं प्रभृतिभिः देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती
Thank you, Gitanshu, for such an enchanting prayer. I'm profoundly delighted to welcome the very eminent dignitaries who have honored us with their presence today. We have with us the chief guest for the day, Captain Ved Singh, Director Implementations, Customer Success and Strategic Partnerships, Darwinbox, Dubai. Our keynote speaker, Ms. Jaspreet Kaur, Global Learning Specialist, KPMG Global Services. Guest of honor, Ms. Harpreet Kaur, Associate Director HR, Redison Gurugram. Guest of honor, Mr. Alok Kumar, co-founder, Work Studio Co-working. Our first special guest, Ms. Megha Sen, Vice President and Chief HR Officer, Technopath Advisors Private Limited. Our second special guest, Ms. Mridul Sharma, Strategy Lead, EY Global Delivery Services. We are grateful to all our distinguished guests for accepting our invitation. Thank you for joining us and gracing the event. Now to begin with the inaugural session, may I now request our director, Dr. Aparna Mishra, to deliver the welcome address and give this session an energetic start. Aparna ma'am.
Am I audible, Latika?
Yes ma'am, yes ma'am.
Thank you so very much, Latika. Honorable chief guest, the distinguished dignitaries, my fellow colleagues, members from academia, participants from all across globe, dear students, the live viewers on our YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm good morning to all present here. On behalf of faculty, staff, students, and management of BCIPS, I hereby welcome all our distinguished speakers, guests, and delegates to this auspicious virtual gathering of our HR Conclave month-end on organizational success through effective human resource management, the post-COVID trend. COVID-19 pandemic has an unprecedented crisis with severe both social and economic consequences. Undoubtedly, past 3 years have been the most challenging and difficult years for all of us, and also for organizations across industries around the globe. As the world is attempting to define a new normal, organizations are investigating whether the ways of operating that have served them well in the past will be appropriate and fit in the future as well. HR is uniquely positioned to play a vital role in leading their organization to recover and thrive in the new world of work by shaping the way of recruitment and development talent, liberated from traditional operating models in order to achieve tangible and significant outcomes. At the beginning of the crisis, HR played a crucial role in managing the COVID-19 response at an organization level. More so for HR to tackle never seen before issues pertaining to employees' health, safety and well-being, and also areas like engagement and work balance was the most crucial challenge. As challenging as the COVID-19 crisis has been, it has also provided a unique opportunity for HR to rebuild and take the lead in driving organizational stability and strength. HR has always been a driving force in keeping workforce and organization engaged, productive, and resilient, and has illustrated their values by exemplifying the importance of investing in flexible and robust HR processes and structure. So when the pandemic hit during the early month of 2020, the HR professionals were in the front line, communicating with the employees, addressing their concerns, queries, and apprehensions. During the crisis, HR has seen itself transitioning from being an enabler and support system to being at the center of the business community management strategies. Sudden shift in the work culture with the remote workforce has brought about 180-degree change in how they are approaching people's issues and handling their concerns as a whole. There are demands that have brought about complete change in the way and approach in employee engagement and employee satisfaction. Nurturing culture in dispersed work environment, HR looks at the compensation structure, medical facilities and insurance, and also build focus on mental and emotional well-being of the employees. All these demands are ones that HR has catered to, and there are many more such demands that are coming in future as well. Now that we are past the respond phase of COVID pandemic, HR needs to materialize on these opportunities. The time has come for HR to reimagine not only its own future, but the future of the organization by redefining the work, the workforce, and the workplace. COVID-19 has challenged organizations' creativity and innovation and has urged discussions about future. It has accelerated the HR's future scenario planning and implementations. Moreover, it has pushed organizations to rethink their HR strategies to go beyond the traditional models of managing resources by positioning new information and technology as an essential partner to survive and to ensure the sustainability of their organization. It is incumbent for HR to embrace their unique opportunity and co-lead their organization in becoming more robust and resilient to overcome the economic and cultural ramifications of COVID-19. There may be temptation to dismiss the need to change, hoping that eventually recovery will lead to the return of the recent past, but the reality is that it will not. We must expect to find our competitors who have taken advantage of the recovery of reimagining their business and workforce positioning themselves to excel past organization and thrive in the future if we return to our old ways of doing business. So HR needs to act now in a more aggressive way. The 4 key trends that I believe will shape the future of HR in future and years to come are, the first one is the remote working. Majority of the workforce across industry is still working from home, and there is still a lot of uncertainty of returning back to the office. This brings out a need for the organization across industry to invest in digitization and also in collaboration tools. Digital is here to stay, and we all have already seen the years worth of digital transformation coming forward in a month's time. So remote working is here to stay, and this will play a crucial role in how HR paves its way in post-COVID era, dealing with such a diversified, distantly located workforce. The second key trend would be the data-driven HR. HR has to change the approach towards people's management. We have to rely on reports and data that shows us the key indicators to focus upon, such as measurement of productivity, hours employees are working, and their feelings in their new workplace, that is home, measuring the performance in remote work areas, etc. So we'll have to leverage data analytics and AI to create tailored inventions around these areas. The third key trend that is coming up and is widely being adopted already is a good workforce. So workforce models are evolved post-COVID, wherein we are talking about upskilling and reskilling of the workforce. Economy is picking up, fluid and dispersed workforce, and ever-increasing demand for niche skills, flexibility for remote working, and not being confined to workspaces are the challenges. Organizations are embracing gig economy to meet the demand of cost savings and having a high-performing and flexible workforce. Companies are not looking for these parameters, only their new hirings, but they're also trying to bring this culture up within their organization with the existing workforce. The fourth key trend could be the employee safety, well-being, and resilience. The organization will have to adopt the people-first culture and make employees' safety and holistic well-being a priority. Flexible work routine and leadership with empathy will create a lot more difference in strengthening the employee trust in the organization. As the situation of COVID-19 pandemic has been very complicated and unpredictable, still we are facing this problem. Many problems still have to be met by HR leaders and managers in future. The best way to solve this scenario with minimum loss is to keep up with the latest trend. So, to discuss all these things and many other related topics, we have amongst us very eminent and a scholarly panel of dignitaries. It's a great honor to welcome all our speakers of the technical session who have accepted our invitation and agreed to come here to share their practices and processes with us. I'm delighted and feeling privileged to have them here for the deliberations. We are eagerly waiting to listen to you, sir. I look forward to having an engaging and interesting session with you all. Last but not the least, I take this opportunity once again to thank our mentor, our guide, and the biggest support, our Vice Chairman, Sir, Shri Vipul Gupta ji, whose valuable inputs have helped us crafting this event, starting from deciding on the topic up to the point wherein we are witnessing a successful conduct of this event at this grand level. Thank you so much, sir. I'd like to end my address by quoting Sadhguru. The nation is not the land, it's the people. In transforming the people, we shall have a great nation. So together, we can change the world. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay positive, and don't forget to keep faith. Thank you so very much. Over to you, Latika.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving this event a very spirited foundation and elaborating the theme of the HR Conclave. On that note, today we have amongst us eminent personalities from different sectors of the corporate world to grace the occasion of our HR Conclave on the theme Organizational Success Through Effective Human Resource Management, the Post-COVID Trend. I would now like to take this opportunity to introduce to you our chief guest for the day, Captain Ved Singh, Director Implementations, Customer Success and Strategic Partnerships, Darwinbox, Dubai, UAE. Darwinbox turned a unicorn earlier this year and stands amongst the top 3 human resource management systems platforms in India and growing rapidly in Southeast Asia and Middle East. Captain Ved Singh drives growth and operations for 4 geographies, including parts of India, Middle East, and Africa. He's also shaping up Darwinbox's strategic partnerships. He brings in over 18 years of experience in business leadership, HR leadership, and people management roles. He's an expert in HR transformation interventions during the post mergers and acquisitions involving complex business, geographical, and cultural nuances. A well-known face in the HR and HR tech space, he was recently named amongst top 30 HR influencers on Twitter in April 2022. He is an active propagator of notable people practices that enable effective tech transformations and OKRs approach. We welcome you, sir. It's an honor to have you with us today. May I request Captain Ved Singh, sir, to take over the session and deliver the inaugural address?
Thanks. Thank you, Latika. It was indeed a long intro. So thank you very much for that. First of all, also thanks to Shri Vipul Gupta ji, Dr. Suniti, Dr. Aparna, Dr. Devinder Sharma for making me a part of this HR Conclave. I think I have about 15 minutes. So I will make an effort to talk about the subject of hybrid work environment. Just help me if my screen is visible. Okay, yeah.
Good morning, everyone. I am Ullas Mudliar, and I am your panelist So today I'm going to ask you two questions. Please answer kindly.
Ullas at the end of the session, okay?
Wait, sir, do you want me to assist you in sharing the presentation?
I think some problem in link maybe. Please unmute yourself, sir. You are on mute.
Oh, sorry, I
Yeah,
think
it's
back
fine.
now.
Right, it's okay.
Ullas, is there a pattern that you want to start? Or would you like to give me a few minutes to share something?
You can start, sir. You can start.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'll take maybe about 10 minutes to share a little about what we are doing and how probably also make an effort to relate it with how this hybrid work environment, and especially the last 2 years, have helped us scale in this period, and how we are looking at certain tenets of the hybrid work environment. So as shared a little beforehand, we are Darwin Box, and there was a quote which is a timeless quote from Charles Darwin. It says, "It is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change." Uh, uh, this quote probably has proven itself once again, especially in the last 2 years. Uh, 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 so a lot that we could accomplish during the last 2 years is attributed to this adaptability and thriving in almost a complete virtual environment. The 33% of life cycle of Darwin Box was during this pandemic period. And if I say what we could accomplish, we became the fastest growing platform in Asia, reached about 700 plus global enterprises, but also became a unicorn earlier this year. And above all, could also, a valuation is a validation from an investor point of view, but a bigger excitement for a product company is when its customers appreciate it. Darwinbox moved and became the highest rated HRMS platform on the Gartner Magic Quadrant, and moved into the Magic Quadrant as the only Asian platform being there. Now, what all of this, comes together and says is, in a country like India, where we are known for our prowess in the tech services space. So, as most of us know, out of the top 8 tech services companies, 4 companies are from India. I go to a Silicon Valley, a TCS or Infosys, they're given a respect of being one of the best in the world. But if we move into or onto the other side of tech product companies, we would scramble for names to identify if there are maybe even 3 or 4 companies which are the best tech product companies globally, or amongst the top 3 globally in their space. Very, very few or none. So, moving there and, once again reiterating, a large part of this is attributed to excelling in ability to adapt to the hybrid work environment. So how we looked at, or the hybrid, and how the world is looking at hybrid is something I'd like to take maybe a few minutes and max of 3 slides as we go forward. So this is excerpt from a Gallup survey, which was done recently, somewhere in February 2022. They covered large part of workforce in the West and across the world. where it showed that the preferred location of the workforce continues to be either exclusively remote or hybrid. If we see the rightmost part of the slide at this point in time, where the hybrid is expected from a workforce standpoint to be valid in 60% of the workforce, and about 32% of the workforce is expecting to work exclusively remote, and just about 9% of the workforce. And the interesting part is that even in February 22, when the survey was done, almost 19% of the workforce was working fully on site. However, the anticipation of even that workforce is that they'll partially move into hybrid and exclusive remote. So which also means that this remote and hybrid work is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. it's it's something to which the organizations need to adapt and thrive along with this environment. So when this hybrid discussion started, because more or less from March 20 to maybe around November, December 21, it was more of a complete virtual environment versus coming back to office. And in the later part of the 2021 is where the hybrid discussion started, that it's not working back or coming back to office or working from home, it will be a hybrid. So how do we look at what is a hybrid work environment? And this is something that been discussing with many CHROs internally and many people all across. Some people give a definition of maybe a mix in office and remote work. Some people talk about flexibility. There are different ways that people approach it. A perspective that we used as an org and we felt is critical, and personally also we felt made a lot of sense to us, is that hybrid is a mindset shift accompanied by a cultural shift in the org, wherein we move from focus on time devotion to outcome devotion. And all of this, whether it is bringing in productivity tools, technological tools, creating an environment which helps people in remote, hybrid, all of this is an outcome of. So as a person, or as people who've been working mostly in physical environments together in the past, there is a natural bias that comes. So if we have two people, one who's working right next to our desk, spends good amount of time in terms of bringing the outcomes, and there is another one who's not in front of our eyes, maybe works fully remotely, and both of them, due to various reasons, suppose are not able to achieve their outcomes, there is a natural tendency to make positive affirmations about the person who's working right next to us, saying that, oh, he was working really hard but couldn't achieve the outcomes. However, somebody who's not in front of our eyes, there used to be, or sometimes people used to think that probably that person was not investing or making enough efforts to achieve the outcomes. And that's where the first set of differentiation started. And probably, and that is also the first step of failure of the hybrid work environment, or a success during a hybrid work environment. So have been thinking, and also maybe it's a part of whatever I could understand and gather from the environment, is what could be the tenets of a hybrid world, as to what could be the principles that can help a hybrid world being successful, and could in very small or a simple one slide could come up with this: engagement, productivity, and fairness. So the first thing that got hit when the hybrid work started, and to make it sustainable as we move forward, the engagement of people working right next and those we're not able to meet for months altogether or weeks or a few days in a week. The engagement levels need to go higher and have to have those facets of being able to engage not only the people who are right next to us, but also those who are not right there. So there are technological tools that are coming in. There are even 3D avatars that are coming in. So a lot of enhancements is happening in terms of technology, which is helping us engage with the workforce better. And a special effort, I'm sure most of the organizations are putting in to enhance the engagement in this kind of environment. The engagement is also facilitated by the change in the culture, where an event or coming together doesn't always means coming together physically. Also means those engagement that happens in a virtual world. The second tenet that that we feel is productivity. A high focus on productivity, then the other aspects of the work gives an ability to tomorrow compare the outcomes of two people who have been working differently in terms of their way of working, which leads to the third tenet, which is fairness. Engaged workforce, which is delivering outcomes beyond or better than the market and the outside world and internally, treated fairly, comes together in creating a high performing organization and delivering great outcomes. So I would like to stop here, and we come back to the participants here, as also the other participants in today's conclave, and happy to take up questions if any.
So the question answer session we have put at the end of this session. So the participants will be taking up the questions at the end of this entire session.
Sure, Latika.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your valuable experience and perspective on hybrid work environment. We certainly have had some very noteworthy takeaways from your detailed presentation. Thank you, sir. Introducing you to our keynote speaker for the day, Ms. Jaspreet Kaur, Global Learning Specialist, KPMG Global Services. At KPMG, Ms. Jaspreet Kaur has been working for 2 continents and with 45 countries worldwide for learning and development. Ma'am has over several years of professional experience as HRBP, business consultant, and now as Global Learning Specialist. Ma'am also has research experience in corporate governance, organizational behavior, and finance domains. Apart from her professional career, she is also a content creator and avid writer, speaker, and have worked with several NGOs and provided her mentorship to various students for their career upliftment. She believes in educating and fostering the young generation for a better and beautiful future. Thank you for your gracious presence, ma'am. May I request Ms. Jaspreet to take over the session and honor the participants with your address?
Thank you. First of all, BCIP for inviting me to this platform. And a very, very good morning to everyone. And luckily, Delhi has a very good weather today. So I'll take, as scheduled, I'll take only the 15 minutes of yours. So let me share my screen. Are you all able to see my screen?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Great. So we have the wonderful topic here to discuss is employee experiences and productivity. So, like after COVID, employee experiences, not only employee experiences, but everything has changed. We are defining the productivity into a new definition altogether. So now I would like, to give some of the anecdotes, some of the experiences in my own career as a HR or as an employee as well, to see that how we can define the experiences that turn into an ultimate productivity. So what is an employee experiences? So we all discuss and relate with the culture, the organization, how is the culture of the organization, and what are the things that the culture the organization provides. How is your team? What are the level of the employees that you have been working with? But is it only just the culture of the organization, or is it just only the work that you are doing in the organization, or what's more? So employee experiences nowadays is actually a feeling, an emotion that you're associated with your organization. It's all it's like when you are just discussing with your friends, how are you actually defining your organization to your friends? How well you are associated with each and everything, and how are being how are you happy, how much you're satisfied with everything that you are getting. So as you see, like in today's world, we have a lot of kind of benefits that an organization provide, from the goodies, the transport services, the health insurance, the meals. There are a lot of things, but I mean, it's good, like as a student, if you go into a placement, you always look for these benefits that will these benefits will be providing to me. So this is kind of a first impression that you will get. Of course, benefits is really, really important. But the question is here, is there only benefits that make a great employee experiences? Or is there something else that an organization can provide apart from the benefits, that an employee can enjoy and can make their experience a great one? So this is a complete, myth. Like when I used to talk to a lot of students, they used to come, they join the new organization and they're switching to another organization. They're always fascinated about the benefits. I mean, it's not wrong. It's really great that, you are having a great first impression. But what next? What what makes their experience, come to a next level, that they say that we are having a very great employee experiences. Apart from monetary benefits, what organization can provide you? So now, employee experiences is not only an employee experience, it's a customer experience. It's an organization that they are providing their employees and taking them as their customer. It's the time when, like in the hybrid mode itself, let's suppose if someone is diagnosed with COVID, how is organization is helping them to provide such a situation, such a great support during that time. And let's suppose if someone for the working mothers itself, they are not finding the time to spend with their children. It is as simple as that. So how is organization is providing that flexibility so that a working mother can give the best in the organization as well as have some time with their kids. And it's simple as sometime you met with God grace. I mean, not God grace, it's like something someday you met with you with an accident. How is organization is helping you at that moment? How quick they are into providing that health insurance that they are covering for you? Is there, it's like after you went to for leaves, is it something that your performance manager and HR is calling you again and telling you, okay, so when are you coming back? We can't compensate our business for you, you are on a lot of leaves, this and that. Or are they being compassionate with you? Are they saying that just take as much as days, just be fit and come back into the organization? Are they actually giving you that customer experience that you really deserve? So what great experience entails more, to have a ultimate productivity. So how an employee experience, it's like, okay, this is one step that we have already, gave our best in, providing the employee experiences. But what actually, an organization thinks and how organizations strategize, to make them to be ultimate, give them the ultimate productivity. We are not saying here productivity, we are saying ultimate productivity. First, new opportunities. I mean, I can't, emphasize this on more, the opportunities that you are getting in an organization. So let's suppose if you join a new organization, they have some certain projects for you. You started working on it. But are you still working on these projects for like a year or so, or it's been a long time, or it's like, is this the same monotonous work for you? So what kind of new projects, that they are assigning to you? What kind of new fields or domain that, they are giving you that flexibility to enhance your job work? This is really, really important. And with this Gen Z generation, I mean, without opportunities, it is like, you provide everything. You provide the benefits and all these monetary things. But what about the new projects? Are they being excited about their work that they are doing? So here the new opportunities come, new skills. So this is, we always some kind of not observe this thing that, when a person comes into an organization and when that person leaves the organization after some time, is there any enhancement of the skills that the person has got from the organization? Is there something kind of, that, okay, so that person has XYZ skills, but now what other skills that, they can possess? This is really, really important, because skills nowadays can define your next step in your career. Required training. So here, required training, I'll not emphasize this on the work-oriented training. Of course, if you get a new work, new project, you will definitely get a training along with them, with your reporting manager or any other mentor that you have been assigned to. But what kind of other trainings that you want? So let's suppose that a person is working on like Coupa. That's a platform, that's a technical platform. But he also wants to learn about design thinking. Like, I have just, that person is very, very fascinated about that design thinking. So maybe, if they ask their performance manager, okay, I am getting what I want, but I'm also fascinated about this skill. So maybe can I get some kind of learning resources or the training, or anyone, you may redirect me to? Because today's world, the information is at your hand. You can read anywhere. In fact, you can just learn anything from any LinkedIn post itself. But what kind of the trainings apart from the regular training that organization can provide you in terms of communication skill, in terms of soft skills? There are plethora of trainings that has been providing, and it's been there. So we have to take care as an organization, as an HR part, we have to take care of that. Next is career path. So this is a very kind of a broad perspective, like how, obviously as an individual, we always think about our career path. But as an organization, how are you thinking that person to be, to move to the next level? So obviously there is a complete planning that, an organization does for the HR planning. It's get promotion after a certain time and then leads to a hierarchy. But what actually is career path for them? So if if the organization is thinking only the perspective of their own, job filling and getting that gap filled, or if someone has just resigned, so giving that opportunity to that person, it's great. But what apart from that is career path. It's like, has that employee given that flexibility that that person can talk to their PM, the performance manager, that I want my career to be in that way, in that direction, so can I get this opportunity? So this is very very broad uh, kind of a concept that career path is. I mean, sometimes I see that somewhere organization doesn't provide that flexibility, or doesn't provide, in fact, the freedom to talk to their performance manager that I am thinking to just be in the organization, but I want to explore that other domain like so this is the kind of freedom that an organization should provide, so that the employee will have a great experience and they think about their organization, that yeah, my organization is actually providing me the opportunities, the skills, the required trainings that I want, and actually providing me that freedom and flexibility that I can explore that domain. Because I have seen a lot of employees who are coming into let's suppose that the customer services, and they went really to a technical field. I mean, how related is it? I'll not discuss here, but how flexibility that organization has provided to that employee, and what kind of great experiences that employee can vouch in front of their friends and in front of anyone that, see, hey, I have been grown from this to this. This is such a kind of the great experiences that my organization is providing to me. So last is, but it is not the least as well, performance awards. So we always, think about the motivation. So here, motivation plays a very crucial role in productivity. So performance awards, I mean, there are times when employees are just feeling okay, yeah, I'm doing my work which has been assigned to me, it's great, I'm getting my salary and everything, but what apart from that? And there are a lot of studies who tells that only the monetary and the all the monetary benefits is only working at one level only. But what comes the next level is their emotional aspect, is their motivation. Are they enough motivated to work more? Are they actually taking their work as they own it? So performance awards are really plays a very big and crucial role. It not only provides the great experiences, it not only provides the ultimate productivity of the employees, but it actually somewhere shows the brand value as well for that organization. Moving further, so yes, yesterday we are celebrating Happy International HR Day. So this is a really, I want this clip to show now is the Economic Times, and which says that celebrating the heart of every business. And it's the HR that is the heart of every business. And they have portrayed in such a beautiful way that it, glorifies that how they are glorifying the HR from the heart. And it is actually the heart of every business, that how a business runs, because without employees, I haven't seen any business to run. So this is the HR is initially like how initially we thought of, okay, marketing is a very great domain, and finance is obviously without money you can't run the business. But now I think HR is also plays a very very crucial role, and it integrates all the domain in an organization. So I think I have done my part, and as mentioned that the questions is at the end, so Thank you. Thank you for your time and thank you for your patience of listening.
Thank you very much, Jaspreet ma'am, for sharing your perspective on leveraging great employee experience. I'm sure our participants have been greatly benefited by your in-depth presentation on this very relevant topic. I would now like to take this opportunity to introduce to you our first guest of honor for the day, Ms. Harpreet Kaur, Associate Director HR, Redison Udyog Vihar. Ma'am has more than 17 years of experience in hospitality industry with a strong all-round knowledge of human resources and learning and development. She also worked as pre-opening member at Park Inn by Redison Gurgaon and Toshali Resorts International. It's an honor to have you with us, ma'am. May I now request you to address our participants? Harpreet, ma'am.
Yes. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Devinder sir, and the entire team of PCIPS for providing me the opportunity to interact with the faculties and students across the globe on this. And very well said by my team member, co-peer, Ms. Jaspreet, on the employee engagement and the employee initiatives which the organization takes very lightly, and more we will take this forward and interact on this. So I'll be just sharing few inputs on this. The topic which has been given to me for skilling, upskilling and reskilling initiative, and it's a very rightly said by one of our author. The future belongs to those who learn more skills and combine them in a creative ways. So the skilling is very important. And after the pandemic, skilling techniques and reskilling and upskilling techniques, all the three techniques are very much important for every organization, whether it is a college or whether it is the MNCs or the hotels and other segments of the industry. So where did the skilling starts from? The skilling comes from, like, we have to train our people, we have to give them the opportunity. So recently I visited one college where the students were struggling to get an opportunity to enter into a industry. So if we HR people will provide them the opportunity, definitely the learned people will come forward and they will get skilled again. So skilling techniques differ from companies to companies, but the most important technique which is left and which is there already is the on-job training also. So trainings are very important and it should be imparted every now and then. But what happens? We consider training as a last resort. We says no, the training is a waste of time, and we have to take out the input, we have to take the extract from the employees, and training is a wastage. But as per me and as per the experience which we have seen in 17 years in HR, we think we can skill up people with the help of trainings, online as well on job trainings. So it is very important for all of us to agree on the same note, and this message should pass on to the others also, that training is very important in this competition world. So if the employees are skilled, it is very easy to retain them and to promote them, and very well the skilling techniques should be enhanced by the organizations. So as if I may talk about the hotel industry from where I am, so what we currently are doing for the skilling techniques is we are giving the on-job training very frequently department wise. So every department has been assigned certain hours to skill the employees and rate them. So every month the rating is being done, right? And besides this, the reskilling techniques are also very important. If every employee is skilled, if we talk about, we are paying them the wages as per the skilled, unskilled, or semi-skilled category. The employees are skilled, but we have to make them come forward. So the techniques should be adopted and monitoring should be done very frequently. So the industry can be successful only if uh, we give the opportunity to our employees to come forward to express themselves. and we have to find out certain channels by which we can retain them. At one point of time, employee find that there is no career development path for him. So career development part starts when we plan some techniques for them, the quarterly techniques or the monthly techniques or the yearly techniques. So this comes when the employee finds, yes, there is some importance of them in the organization, and the organization is doing something to enhance his or her career, then they stay back with us. And I'm sure if the employees stay back with us, definitely we will do the wonders. But what happens gradually, we don't want to train them, we don't want to retain them. What happens very frequently, they leave within 3 months or 6 months, and then they say, no, this hotel or this organization is not my cup of tea. And what we do, again we hire a person, again we spend on the induction orientation, we again have to give the increased salary, increased remuneration. Again it starts from one. So what the message to the industry leaders again is the same. We should be on the same platform, that skilling, upskilling, and reskilling initiatives to be done. It should be in a planned manner so that the employee should be retained, and a retained employee will definitely provide his or her inputs in the organization. So it will save our time, it will save everybody's times. So overall, 14% of the overall organization spends in the budgeted total L&D to upskill and reskill across all levels of the employees. 14% is the amount, is a percentage which the companies have set up to upskill and reskill in the L&D budgets. So L&D budget should be increased at all levels in all the organizations, as per me. And last but not least, I would be very thankful to the Bcips for providing the opportunity, and I'm open to answer the question to the participants here if they have with me any answers which they want from me. So the questions are open to the forum.
Harpreet ma'am will be taking up the questions at the end of the session.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for sharing your views on the relevance of skilling, reskilling, and upskilling for both employees as well as organizations, and also your experience of handling the challenges of hospitality industry using skilling techniques in real-time scenario. Thank you. Introducing you to our second guest of honor for the day, Mr. Alok Kumar, co-founder, Working Studio Co-working. Mr. Kumar is an entrepreneur, and in his own words, he's a dreamer and lives by his dreams. Having graduated as a computer science engineer, he has always been passionate about startups and entrepreneurship. His venture, Work Studio Co-working, is a prominent co-working brand in India, having presence in 7 states with 14 campuses across the country. It is an honor to have you with us, sir. May I now request you to share your words of wisdom with the participants?
Hello everyone, hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
आप सबको मेरा बहुत बहुत नमस्कार and बहुत nostalgic feeling आ रही है मेरे को. Director ma'am is looking like my dean in my last college. So और काफी सारे students भी हैं, तो एक college वाला vibe आ रहा है मेरे को. So I'll start my session into 2 parts. पहले मैं co-working space के बारे में बात करूँगा. Okay, so पहले मैं कोवर्किंग स्पेस और वहाँ जो भी लोग काम करते हैं, किस तरह से काम करते हैं, उनका एचआर किस तरह से काम करता है, हाउ एम्प्लॉय रिटेंशन वहाँ पे किस तरीके से, उसके बारे में बात करूंगा. एंड देन आई टॉक अबाउट कि अपने ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में हम लोग एचआर को कैसे किस तरह से मैनेज करते हैं. सो मैं कोवर्किंग स्पेस चलाता हूँ. अभी हमने रीब्रांड किया अपने कोवर्किंग स्पेस को, तो वर्क स्टूडियो कोवर्किंग इज नाउ कोवर्किंग स्टूडियो. एंड मैम ने बताया 14 कैंपसेस, तो लास्ट डिस्कशन में 14 था, अभी हमारा 17 हो गया है. एंड इन लास्ट 4 मंथ्स हमारा जो रेवेन्यूज है वो 200% बढ़ गया है. तो इसके इसके कुछ कारण मेरे को जो मैं जो ऑब्जर्व कर पा रहा हूँ वो ये है कि जब पैंडेमिक आया तो पैंडेमिक में कोवर्किंग बिजनेस वाज लाइक वेरी वल्नरेबल। वहाँ पे सारे कैंपसेस खाली हो गए थे एंड कंपनीज छोड़ते जा रही थी सारा स्पेसेस। तो उसके बाद एक एक ना बहुत कल्चरल चेंज आया कोवर्किंग इंडस्ट्री में। 2-3 पॉइंट्स मैंने ऑब्जर्व किए। लोग क्यों कोवर्किंग स्पेस में अब ज्यादा आ रहे हैं, जो हमारा बिजनेस का राइज हुआ है 2%, 200%, वो इसलिए कि पॉइंट 1 की एक तो कि कैपिटल इन्वेस्टमेंट जो शुरू में लगाते थे जिसको हम लोग केपेक्स बोलते हैं, तो वो एक बहुत कल्चरल चेंज आया है कंपनीज में, कॉर्पोरेट्स में कि दे वांट टू
Sir, very good afternoon, sir. Can you speak in English, please? We the people belongs to South India are unable to understand
okay,
Hindi.
okay. No issues, sir. So okay. So when we introduced our co-working space after COVID, so there are a lot of companies which changed their culture, and a lot of companies put their employees on remote working. So in remote working, what people observed that it's very difficult to work from home, and there is a basic problem of learning and competitive environment. So it's good for companies which put their employees at work from home because they are saving their rental cost, operating cost, and the employees were getting salaries, and most of the salaries went into savings, like they don't have to pay rentals for their home. And most of the people who who belongs to different cities of India and work in Bangalore, Mumbai, or any other city, any other corporate city, so they went back to their home, and their basic expenses is being saved. So the employees were enjoying this benefit. But the basic problem arises this their learning process and the osmosis process which employees went through interacting with a lot of other employees, and the competitive environment that goes completely damaged. And in this process, most of the companies realize that their employees are not that being productive, or they are not scaling their skills accordingly. So this is the main reason I realized that a lot of companies are putting small corporate offices in tier 2 cities, and hence we realize that there is a rise in rise in the occupancy of co-working spaces. So in COVID, we are operating at 20%, 30%. Now we are operating at, we are over flooded. And the second part, how we are managing our, HR, and how we are retaining our employees. So we think on a different perspective. Instead of thinking how to retain them, we think what are the reasons they are willing to leave our organizations. So if we talk here, like what are the reasons that any employee leave any organization? So I think first is the competitive perks that they are getting through the salaries. So what salaries they are getting. The other thing is what kind of work environment they are working. Like they are investing their 8 hours in a workplace, and what kind of workplace they are using, and what the ambience there. And the third one is what are the opportunities there. Like are they growing in their careers? Do they exploring more and more, and evolving their careers? And the other thing is are they being recognized for their work or not? I think this is the most critical part, that employees not just working for salaries, right? They need recognition, they need reward, they need better opportunities, and these are the basic thing any corporate should have to retain their employees. We in our organization have different, we have a parallel structure. We don't have any hierarchy in our team. We have ideas first, idea first theme in our organization, that if anyone has any idea, we endorse initiatives. So if someone is very passionate about something and want to take some initiative, then we allow them to use the company's resources and do whatever they want to do. And this is what we call that entrepreneurial mindset in the in employees. So it is very important to not just create employees. We endorse to create them as a leaders. So when the company grows, it grows only because of the leaders, what number of leaders you have in whatever the sections in your organization. So in every sections we have different people, and we assign them to do different tasks. Along with that, we put them some task and tell them, can you do it by yourself? And if they find something into it, if they find good ideas into it, and if they find if they can lead this initiative on their own, then they are allowed to use the company's resources and do it something of their own. This way they find recognized, they find they find empowered to do something of your own apart from their office work. And this is one thing what we we keeps doing, so that the employees keep like if they have created something of their own. So this is one reason that they do not want to leave that thing in between. So we started in 2018, and till now the average size employee retain in our company is 2.5 years, which is I think good in such a way for a small organization like us. And I was listening through this session, and Ved sir and Jaspreet ma'am and I forgot the name, sorry. So I got very very useful insights of the industry from a different perspective. And thank you so much for this session. I'd love to take the questions in further processes. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your experience, and especially for our budding entrepreneurs and your views on how COVID has impacted the co-working space industry. Thank you, Alok, sir. Moving ahead, I would now like to take this opportunity to introduce our first special guest for the day, Ms. Megha Sen, Vice President and Chief HR Officer, Technopack Advisors Private Limited. Ma'am has around 15 years of experience in human resources and operations domain. Prior to this, Ms. Sen worked in the HR and operations functions with companies like NIIT Technologies, Octane Marketing, GE Capital, etc. Ma'am is a seasoned HR professional with an experience encompassing strategy, corporate HR, employer branding, learning and career development, recruitment and onboarding, profile mapping, etc. Thank you for joining us today, ma'am. May I request you to take over the session and honor the participants with your address?
Thank you so much for such a warm welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this conference and to address all the students who are going to be stepping into the corporate world probably this year or next year. So I was hearing the eminent panels and my co-speakers on this issue of organizational performance development, and during the stressful times that we've gone through in the last 2 years. My topic for today's deliberation is managing mental health, well-being of workforce during pandemic, and the role of HR. Okay. I would like to keep it in a deliberation mode, and the whole idea of my 10 minutes of the conversation would be to surface certain realistic things that have happened in the last 2 years, both from an organization's perspective and from an employee perspective. I think it's very important to have a balanced deliberation of thinking what challenges businesses are facing, what is the way forward for businesses and for employees, because if businesses are not taken along, there will not be any spaces to work. So I'll be touching upon both these things, though my topic is mental health and well-being of employees, but it's equally important for the organization's health to be okay, to be able to give a good environment for workforces. So I'll break my session in 5 minute session, where in first 5 minutes I'll spend in terms of talking about what are the challenges that we faced as an HR, what are the probable outcomes that came across, and what we did as an HR fraternity, and what I think we could do moving forward or continue to do forward. See, from a business perspective and from an HR perspective, this was a huge, huge, huge transformation that happened at a shortest span of time. Okay, it's been deliberated, and enough research has happened that any kind of change takes a lot of time, takes a lot of resistance. People, by virtue, are resistant to change. I think that was completely challenged to the human ecosystem, that everything was new, and these were really unprecedented times wherein nobody had any clue of what to do and how to do. Let's face that fact first. These were unprecedented times. There was nothing right, nothing wrong, and everybody was figuring out in their own spaces. Fortunately for HR fraternity, this was a huge opportunity also to come forward and surface as an important aspect of an organization's ecosystem. In multiple conferences and in multiple places, I have always deliberated and said that why HR does not get a place in the boardroom. Okay, this is a topic that we have deliberated in a lot of conferences, and there are specific reasons for that. In the start of the session, ma'am said that HR is poor with data. Indeed, yes. Analytics, data-driven approach, and a lot of other things attribute to an organization's success. Okay, so I'll touch upon all these factors from a business perspective in the last 5 minutes. Quickly, I'll move on to the topic which says mental health and mental well-being. So this was one of the most important and crucial factors for colleagues, employees, for us, ourselves, for businesses to function during the last 2.5 years. One of the most important aspects that were in the forefront in professional space and businesses for individuals was productivity and mental well-being. Okay, and both go parallelly. If there is struggles in productivity, it is for a reason. Mental well-being and physical well-being were the two important aspects that took a hit during the pandemic for multiple reasons. My mental well-being, it was not just delivering work on time, but there were multiple drastic changes happening around us in a short span of time, say for 2 months. Terms like lockdown, COVID, stress, fear, anxiety, family to be managed, elderly parents to be managed, children to be managed, delivering quality work, meetings, work-life balance, everything was to be dealt in a way locked up into a room. Human by virtue can't be locked in a room. We are social beings. I think we realized this in the last 2 years, that though the situation was such that we were forced to be locked up in rooms, but all these things definitely had a huge psychological impact, physical well-being, people struggling with anxiety, people going into depression, people putting up weight, a lot of such issues which are actually related to be able to deliver, to be able to be productive. There was no house help. And this is not a normal situation. I think for working women to manage home along with work, delivering timelines with no work-life balance, things were really difficult. Okay, so all this had to be managed. Managing all these stress, being mentally sound, became not just a necessity, but surfaced as a problem globally. Okay, so there was a global phenomena of well-being to be taken a look at. How companies addressed it, not just art, but a lot of other companies. See, while there was a lot of change happening in terms of digital transformation, and digital transformation happening in all domains, not just in HR, but in IT infrastructure, suddenly everything had to be shifted to a work from home mode, from a work from office mode. So IT also played a very significant role in terms of IT infrastructure. So did HR. So one was infrastructure and automation and digital transformation, which did change our lives. The amount of digital transformation that has happened in the last 1.5, 2 years would have gradually, if it would have, pandemic would not have hit, would have happened in the next 5 years. So bringing in automation in HR practices and bringing in a lot of things did help a lot. However, there were softer aspects of HR as well. Okay, so we've been deliberating this, that, you know, should HR be completely automated? Should HR be only using analytics? What is the meaning of HR? HR ultimately is human. Okay, so people is human. Human here, different people have different ways of handling things, and different situations have to be dealt differently. So there is no right or a wrong answer, or there is no right or a wrong way to look at it. What we did in our organization was, when we completely were working from home, there was a constant need to talk to people. Okay, so me and my team, we stressed on the fact of having a personal touch, despite having virtual meetings, despite having virtual sessions, despite having virtual learning sessions, etc., etc. A constant touch through phone or through one-to-one conversations was very important to see what is happening in personal lives of each individual. There were COVID impact in families. There were demises in the families. There was a constant challenge of getting work done. So counseling, mentoring, help and support. And the most important thing, I believe, was flexibility. And by flexibility, I mean not just work from home. By flexibility, we mean that with the reopening theme right now, wherein everybody is wanting to come back to workspaces, we're constantly deliberating of a fact that whether it will be a hybrid model, whether people will come back, whether it will be completely work from home. So the answer to that is that every organization, depending on their scale and size, will have their own ways to function. At this point in time, it still is such an evolving situation from a workforce perspective that we can't go ahead and finalize on saying that it will be a hybrid model going forward, or it will be a completely work from home or completely work from office. Organizations which are small and medium businesses, which we call as SMB, they would prefer their workforce to be hybrid or work from home because of cost pressures, because they have to incur rent and huge costs. So it's easier to save cost and have employees work from home. On the other hand, we have companies like TCS, Infosys, or the biggest companies who already have their offices. They have their permanent structures, permanent offices. They are looking at getting employees back to offices wherever they have their permanent offices and permanent workspaces. So it's also been observed that there have been multiple challenges in work from home and work from office environments, leading to productivity losses, or leading to larger collaboration, or leading to a great learning or competitive environment. One thing that has been important in terms of managing mental health is about stressing of the fact that there should be a work-life balance. Even if it is work from home, does not mean if there is a work-life balance. I think there is a very, very bleak line in saying that we are working from home, but practically, I have colleagues and I have employees who say they are working 14 hours, 18 hours, 16 hours a day. With work from home, there's practically no demarcation of any such thing called as office time, which is also causing a huge stress with all employees, because practically there is no work balance, work life and personal life. Both have been entangled and mixed together. So now these are practical problems that everybody is going through. Okay, specifically for women want to come back to office, it's becoming very difficult, because still there are so many things. Children's schools have not opened, or they would like to manage things in a way that they're able to balance work, children, etc., etc. So what an organization can do in these times is, even if it is a remote work or work from home, there should be certain space and flexibility that should be given to the employees to be able to deliver work, at the same time have a personal life, even in a work from home mode. So what we would stress on the fact that even if they are working from home, and there are a lot of companies who've been able to do that even if they're working from home, they would, after a certain point in time, 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, they would just, not have meetings or not have work, and give a work-life balance. I think those were some very important things. from a learning perspective, I think there's been too much of learning that has happened during the last 2 years because of working from home. There is so much of courses that are there, so much of information that is available online to learn. I want to stress on the fact while it is very, very important to learn, but it is equally important to unlearn. Okay, we have been coming with the notion of doing certain things a certain way. Pandemic has taught us that it could blow out on our face, that change can be really, really drastic. And if you adopt to change quickly, things would smoothen out and work in a better place. So it's equally important to unlearn things as well as it's important to learn things. So unlearning is to have that flexibility. Kind of work from home is now the new normal, so to say. Okay, there are, from an organization's perspective, a lot of organizations struggling to have a work from home and a work from office kind of a setup. There are organizations who are struggling to get their employees back to the offices. My own personal opinion would be that maybe in a year's time or year and a half's time, organizations would move, of course, certain of their workforce, which maybe 10 to 20% of the workforce, will still continue to work from home, or they will figure out on roles that can work from home, but at a larger context of an organization, slowly and gradually. Flexibility is the most important thing. Work from home or no work from home will be a thing that will need to be deliberated at an organizational level, because businesses has to sustain, businesses has to move forward, taking people along with it. For mental well-being, there are a lot of things that people are doing. There are chatbots that are being introduced in HR fraternity to gauge employees' mood every day. So there are, rather than human interface of an HR calling somebody and asking, there are chatbots who are doing that. That's the level of automation we have reached in HR as well. So not just from a processes perspective, from an employee engagement perspective to gauge moods, there are bots that are chatting with you. There are data that are coming to us at a runtime basis that, you know, these are the employees who are looking dull today. These are the employees who are excited to be on the job today. So that's how automation is also changing and transforming and helping employees being mentally fit and mentally well. On that note, I would like to end my session and would be open for questions at the end of the session. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you. I hand over the forum to Ms. Latika.
Thank you, Megha ma'am, for your very appreciable take on mental health and well-being in these challenging and unprecedented times. We certainly have had some very noteworthy takeaways from your address. Thank you. Introducing you to our second special guest for the day, Ms. Mridul Sharma, Strategy Lead, EY Global Delivery Services. Ms. Sharma has over 11 years of experience in consulting, spanning SAP, HR, success factors implementation, Qualtrics deployment, and strategy lead in advanced manufacturing and mobility sector, and program manager for new initiatives. She has extensive experience in client interactions, sales, pre-sales support, project management, and business process improvement. Before EY, she worked in Capgemini and Bosch as a process lead. With a number of certifications in the field of employee experience and talent modules, she believes in leveraging technology to handle end-to-end business transformation in companies. Thank you for honoring us with your presence, ma'am. May I request Ms. Mridul Sharma to address the participants and share her experience with us?
Thank you so much, ma'am. First of all, congratulations, BCIPS, for organizing this HR Marathon. I'm equally excited to be here as I'm getting a chance to talk to future CXOs, VPs, MDs, so who are going to create value in the society through their HR expertise. So congratulations once again. My name is Mridul Sharma. I'm having 11 plus years of experience in the IT world, and I have been associated with EY for a very long time, primarily into SAP HR delivery and business development. I've also led Qualtrics practice within EY GDS, and I'm responsible, as already shared by Madam, that I'm program management for new initiatives, and I'm the strategy lead of the sector automobile. I don't have any presentation today because I want you to relate to this, which I'm going to share now. Because Someday you are going to be an employer, or you will take care of the employees in the firm, right? So what do you think? How can employee engagement be effective for organization success? Because employees runs the organization. They are the center of the organization. Like Jaspreet Kaur shared in her presentation that your customer experience is directly related to employee experience. So happy employees, happy customers. So when you are trying to improve employee engagement, you must constantly be on the hunt for cost-effective strategies. Money matters at the end, right? So, and after all, people are most important and most expensive at the same time assets when it comes to driving value and business growth. So today, I'm just going to talk about the different costs that a company may incur because of disengaged employees. So when you start focusing on employee engagement, you can reduce indirect or direct costs. So there are so many processes where you can calculate employee engagement score and invest money accordingly. So this is the part of your strategy. So from your hire to retire cycle, entire HR cycle, there are many layers. There are a number of layers of indirect and direct costs. For example, your recruitment cost in replacing disengaged employees. So if your employees are not engaged, they are not happy, then they will leave your firm and your firm will require new employees. That includes a whole process involving your different teams, like recruitment team that has to search for new people, your interviewers' time, onboarding time and cost. So there are so many which include in your recruitment cost. Having said that, iteration cost also increases manifold. So in fact, in COVID, post-COVID time, it has increased a lot. So let me tell you how it works. So iteration rate, this rate impacts your productivity. Reduced productivity. It's reduced your productivity. So for example, when an employee leaves a job, the company surely loses some productivity. When the position of an ex-employee is vacant, the lost productivity affects the project deadlines and company revenue. Even if the most important tasks are taken up by the other team members, there are other less significant things that fall out of places, thereby reducing team productivity and performance. Then you have knowledge loss. So imagine your new hire can definitely do all those tasks that were previously done by your ex-employee. But do you think the specific knowledge and expertise remain the same? I guess not. I don't think so. Because business is not always about selling a product or writing programming codes, filling Excel sheets, preparing PPTs, maintaining database. There's something more to it. The art of maintaining relationship with your existing clients, know-how of an organization and their exceptional experience build a successful business organization. So when your employee quits, this knowledge goes away. And that's why this information and knowledge is very precious, very, very important. Then your third could be your training costs. The training costs are higher. I think all the co-speakers, they have already covered this thing that, when a new employee is trained, the company spends hundreds and thousands of dollars on the training process. And the training costs are added directly into the company expenses. Right? And it becomes expensive when an employee doesn't make best use of the training opportunities or quits the job. Then it's a loss for the company. So these factors clearly reflect how a company faces unavoidable cost when employee iteration increases, right? Then another point is your cost for sick leaves and absenteeism. So imagine when your employees take so much leaves, the cost associated with this leaves can be direct or indirect. So that the direct financial cost comes from replacement of workers, wages for their unreported PTOs, personal leaves, absence, the overtime pay for employees who get scheduled when others do not show up, from lack of productivity when no replacement is found. And the indirect costs include poor quality of products or services, low productivity, stress by other employees who need to overwork, safety issues due to employees who are poorly trained to cover those who do not show up, and then increase high turnover, right? So this is also one of the very major issue which increases cost for company. Then you have compensation cost for disengaged employees. So disengaged employees have, what I understand, is 37% higher rate of absenteeism. Imagine the cost of replacing an employee is at least 75% of the employer's annual salary, maybe as high as 150% in some cases. Imagine. So replacing, so it's not that easy. You cannot easily replace people. And having the right employee engagement strategies will save significant cost in replacing employees. So in wasted wages for sick leaves and unscheduled leaves and in worker compensation claims. So you need to come up with a new strategy or a significant strategy which can increase your employee engagement. So these are which I have shared. These are just a few cost saving benefits of employee engagement, all of which can save your organization significant amount of money per year. There are other optimized costs, like other ways to optimize costs, like reducing costs through better human capital analytics. For example, are they being trained or keep up the new industry trends or not? This is one of the factors. You're reducing operating costs through human resource optimization. For example, automation, just now shared by my co-speaker, or using automation to take care of the repetitive tasks. That also reduces, operating cost for any human resource optimization. Then you have reducing the cost of learning delivery with blended learning solution. For example, using different mediums on the go ways of delivering content, hybrid, online, offline. There are so many other. So learning part also increases a lot. So you can come up with a significant strategy for their learning plan. Then using technologies to improve workforce productivity. There are so many, automation. Again, automation is one of that part. Increasing productivity through improved employee engagement and leadership. So, ensuring that change management is in focus whenever a new initiative is taken up. So change management plays a vital role whenever you are, planning or strategizing or creating new projects. Using technology to predict the iteration rate and take, corrective iteration methods. So you can implement solutions like predictive analysis. You can predict employees are leaving or not. You can also do your sentiment analysis. You can understand your employees' sentiments. These are the solutions are available. So when you will understand your nerve of employee, then you can save money, right? You can implement a lot of employee engagement solutions and ways to increase their engagement score. And you can also do a stats analysis, if not only in sentiment analysis, you can do stats also. Your gender ratio, females are more happier or male are more happier in your organization. That stats also you can check. So these are the ways how you can optimize the cost for employee engagement. So these are some of the ways in which organization can ensure effective employee engagement. There are a variety of strategies that can be employed by companies to assist employee engagement, like the things which I'm sharing to capture sentiments and stats. You have surveys, you have focus groups, you have organizational indicators like iteration rate. So based on these, relevant correction action can be taken up. And there are numbers of techniques in the market that enable measurement of employee engagements, like SurveyMonkey. Must have heard about it. We are the people who get a lot of surveys to fill, whether you are a customer or an employee. Qualtrics is also the market leader to understand the nerves of your employee. So this is it from the session. I just wanted to keep it a little short and script. So yeah, we can now address the question that you may have.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for spreading your positive energy to our conclave platform and for sharing your views and real-time experience and perspective on employee engagement and cost optimization. The session is now open for audience questions. You all are requested to put your questions in the chat box along with the panelist's name to whom you want to ask the question, and we would be taking them up. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Devinder Sharma, Head of the Department BBA, Bcips, to take over the question answer session and put forward the participants' queries to our esteemed dignitaries.
Good afternoon, everyone. So if I think audience, if any questions, you can write in the chat box so we can ask on the our esteemed guest. There is one question from Captain Waits. How can we foster trust among teammates who seldom see one another in person?
So, so trust, as we're talking about three tenets, there was productivity, there was engagement, and all this and third was basically we were talking about the equity and equality, or maybe how to ensure that people are being rewarded equally. So in case of especially the remote environment, the trust has taken a hit where people are not meeting them often. To enhance this, again, we'll have to go through these three tenets. Number one is bringing people together at defined frequencies, virtually or in a physical form. Number two, moving to the second tenet, productivity. Visibility of productivity against defined parameters of colleagues who are working together need to be made more transparent and available to all. Now here there could be certain objective parameters and subjective parameters. Depending upon different organizational businesses, this can be refined and evolved into becoming more transparent from all perspectives. So that would be a very specific organization outcome, but essentially what need to be done is to make the performance outcomes transparent and visible to all. Third, in terms of the rewards and how the progression is happening, especially in our Asian and Southeast Asian context, from a talent standpoint, the visibility of how you can progress, how rewards are happening, how opportunities are moving to different people, the evolution has not been as good as it has been in the West. So we are slightly lagging behind on that front, but definitely there has been an uptick in the last few years. So what will happen is, as we are progressing forward, the succession plans, career plans, distribution of opportunities will keep on becoming better, and that is also adding on to bringing greater trust amongst peers, and also enhancing the collaboration amongst peers, because they know that they can achieve a similar outcome if different pieces are taken care of by them, or they're able to deliver results in a particular direction. So just I hope this helps the question.
Yeah, I think so. Now, one more question for you, sir. This is from Preeti Sarawat. She talking there. How do we measure the performance of remote or hybrid employees?
So one part in terms of measuring the performance. So I think what last few years have taught us is we need to forget whether the performance has happened in a remote mode or in a physical mode. It has to be seen equally. So measuring performance, if I look at it from a principled perspective, is about what were the defined outcomes for a person and against which what that person has achieved. Now this can be split into various sub parameters. There are different ways and methods. Giving an example, like if you're measuring performance of somebody who is probably suppose implementing a SaaS solution. Now the performance can be measured against time, quality, and impact. So now converting each role into what are the 3 or 5 parameters which deliver the greatest outcome for the organization, and bringing measurable performance outcomes against those helps bringing the performance up and also defining as to who performed better and who didn't. So coming back to that example, suppose somebody is entrusted with implementing a SaaS solution in companies. So a simple measure of how much time the person took to implement. Number two, as we said, the what was the values that were added? Means there is a baseline to that is before and after. What outcomes could be achieved for the organizations? So similarly, we can work out for each and every role. And in the current scenario, it needs to be completely looked in a uniform fashion, whether the person is working remotely or right next to you. The thought of where he's working should be taken away.
Okay, now one question from Midul Sharma, ma'am. That some people think that employee engagement program divert organization's primary objective.
So there is enough research, in fact, to suggest as to how greater employee engagement has delivered greater results or better results for the organizations. You go to best of the organizations which have delivered the best business outcomes, you'll find the engagement rates would definitely be higher. And it also has to do, look at it from a different perspective. Even if it's not business, even at home, you're carrying out a function at home. Maybe sometimes it's wedding or a birthday celebration. If the relatives, family members are more engaged in terms of that, they have been coming together more often, the outcomes of even that small function changes. So I think there is enough research work that substantiates importance and the value add of better engagement towards better business outcomes. It is also to do with enjoying the life in an organization. So we all celebrate the milestones of organizations, and I feel that without engagement, the organization will become very, very dry. So it's also not sustainable to run an organization with lower engagement. So I feel the student can really just go online and do a little bit of Google search and try and see those relatabilities of business outcomes and engagement. You'll really find there's a very, very strong close linkage to both of them, and it has happened repeatedly for many, many organizations, irrespective of even their size and scale. So yeah.
Okay, Ms. Sangeeta Malik, you can ask a question from it's not Manpreet Kaur, Jaspreet Kaur and Megha Singh. Are you there?
Oh, yes, I'm there. I just
Yeah,
want
please.
to ask you to Madam Manpreet Kaur that she talked
Jaspreet
about.
Kaur, Jaspreet Kaur.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, please carry on.
Okay. So she discussed some of the technique, some of the thing that reskilling and upskilling and skilling is to be done with the employees. So what are the techniques she wanted to discuss with us? It was not there. It was missing in the lecture. So I would like to ask, she should share with us some of the techniques to be done or to be carried out during such kind of things, during pandemic or during COVID, which we all went through. Please, I would like to ask to Manpreet Kaur ma'am.
Yeah, Jaspreet, could you please give the answer for this question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
so, so the techniques during the COVID, I think there is no one such technique, which can be successful to erase all the problems of the employees at one day. So there are a lot of things in terms of providing the employee experience and engaging the employees. So it's as simple as to providing the knowledge of in the pandemic we had a lot of wrong knowledges as well, and the wrong information and somewhere the right information. is as simple as that, to providing the right kind of information that, during the COVID time, how should you take care yourself. This is as simple as, just to telling your parents that, in today my organization has this wonderful session where we have provided such right kind of solutions, to so that how we can protect ourselves from this pandemic disease. Or somewhere, we have seen that, during this hybrid mode, the mental health, there is a drastic impact on the mental health of the lots of employees. So what organization is actually doing for them, in terms of the mental health? What kind of events, or what kind of, it's as simple as that, having a gratitude exercise somewhere, while you are meeting to your PMs, or while throughout your day, what kind of gratitude that you have for yourself. Because in this dangerous time, we have seen um, lot of the bad news, and it's all about, the drastic time that we have seen. So what is the positive techniques that we can provide? It's obviously the monetary benefits and the employee insurance is all there, but what apart from that, the experience that, we can enhance them so that they can say, no, your organization is with you.
I mean, Jaspreet Kaur ma'am, I mean, I asked you this very relevant question of reskilling and upskilling.
Okay.
Okay, I did not ask about them being how to maintain a mental health. I asked you that discuss some kind of techniques to how to reskill and upskill during that difficult time of COVID. I mean, it was a very unprecedented, and it was not well aware of such kind of pandemic that's going to be met. So how abruptly we can start reskilling and upskilling of the employee?
So the reskilling and upskilling is again, like I have shared that, the information is all out there. And first, it again starts from the employee that, if we ask what kind of skills that, they want to uplift. Obviously, in terms of the project that they are having, it's suppose that any technical project that an employee is having, they must definitely have some certain kind of skills. That is why they are, assigned to such kind of projects. But what apart from the skills, that employee wants to enhance, and there is this skill. If you ask about the upskilling, I think every employee wants to, climb that ladder of leadership, and climb the ladder at top level of hierarchy. So here the soft skills plays a very, very essential role. So what kind of soft skills that an organization, can provide to upskill them? Because, and there are a lot of researchers who says that, a person can easily adapt the technical skills in that span of time. But what kind of soft skill? Because soft skill is that essential, and it provides the time to practice. So what kind of, in terms of the project, it is as simple as that. An employee who has a certain kind of the fear of speaking in front of their clients. So are you providing that that training of communication skill? Are you providing that how that employee is actually presenting their facts and figures in front of the clients? So that is where the upskilling comes. I hope I've answered.
Okay. Yeah, Sangeet.
Okay,
Yeah,
my second question.
Sangeeta Malik,
Second question
hello.
from to Megha Sen. Megha.
So,
She
if
talked
you
about.
allow, Sangeeta, maybe I'll just add to my friend Jaspreet. Just adding, there are three aspects: reskilling, upskilling, and multi-skilling. Like just take an example of our college. We were taking classes all physically, and the physical classes stopped. And what we were required to learn as faculties as well as students were Zooms of the world, Google Meets of the world, or a Teams of the world, and to use them effectively. Now, that is reskilling. Reskilling is critical where your job is getting impacted, and you'll be able to find out what to do and how to do depending upon that very job that you're talking about. Now that's about reskilling. Yeah, the earlier skill has become non-relevant. You have to reskill yourself to remain relevant in the workforce. So if this is one of the example, and similarly, whichever example or maybe reference that you have, you can work out for that. Upskilling is primarily you want to move up the ladder. Now, upskilling in the organization, what organizations are doing is they're creating career ladders. Now, you have a particular role that you're playing today, and there are 2 possible or 3 possible career ladders that you can pick up. And against each of those career ladder and the next role, you also have defined skills that are required there. Now, that understanding of what to be upskilled is coming from that career ladder. You know, in the current role, I have skills. If I want to move into this second role, there are 12 skills that are required for that role. 8 are common, 2 new, and 2 are different. So I would need to upskill myself with those 4 new skills if I want to move into that role. So that becomes upskilling. Again, we'll be able to give a specific answer if you have both the roles available and skills required available. Third is multi-skilling. Now, multi-skilling is a requirement from an organization standpoint. Today, one of my colleague is on leave, or moves out of the organization, was doing a particular job. How do I ensure that my work doesn't get disrupted, even if that one person or 2 people are not able to attend to work? And it was very, very relevant when we were doing or we were working during the pandemic. It used to very often happen that a very fine day, like in the morning, you come to know, okay, that one of the colleagues is not well, or somebody in the family is not well and is not able to attend to work. Multi-skilling is in a team structure. You identify as to what are the skills that I should teach my people beyond the role that they're working in, so that they can fill in for others. Now, again, a specific answer to this can be given when you have a team structure in front of you. You know the different roles and different skills that you are playing there. So making an effort to just add on to Jaspreet and explaining the concept of what is reskilling, upskilling, and multi-skilling. A very good example can be done if we are sitting with a specific case of this is the role, next role ye hai, this is the role, what are the lost skills and new skills required, or what is the team structure. We'll be able to give more specific answers. I hope that helps, Sangeeta.
Yeah, definitely. I'm now very good answered by Captain Ved Singh. I'm really happy about
Okay.
it. Okay, Mega,
Fine.
next
Sangeeta
question.
Malik, please, because we are running short of time, so we have to start our next session. So here, I just won't take any questions, because now I just, thanks to my esteemed guests who settle all the queries of the our audience, whatever the queries they have, what are the questions they have. Now at the end, I just give my vote of thanks to all my esteemed guests. It's given me immense pleasure while expressing a huge sense of gratitude in offering my vote of thanks at the successful completion of this inaugural session of this conclave on organizational success through effective human resource management, the post-COVID trend. Our chief guest, Captain Ved Singh, I express my heartfelt gratitude towards you for sharing your invaluable insight on achieving organizational success by ensuring effective HRing. I sincerely hope that your words on how to make a successful transition to a hybrid work environment for achieving greater sustainability in the long run will resonate among the members of our audience and compel them to think about their role in the organizations they are serving or set to join apart from inspiring our students. I extend my many thanks to our keynote speaker, Ms. Jaspreet Kaur, for sharing your views on the theme, the importance of leveraging employee experience for attainment of greater productivity of human resource, which could offer food for thought for our students aspiring to join industry in terms of importance of employee working experience and work employment. My sincere thanks to our first guest of honor, Ms. Harpreet Kaur, for sharing with our audience the service industry perspective on relationship between achieving organizational success and effective HRM. I express sincere hope that the perspective that you shared about the need to constantly innovate to scale, upskill, and reskill the human resources and the initiative taken by modern organization will put our students in good state when they venture to try their luck in the hospitality and tourism industry or any other industry. I take this opportunity to convey my sincere thanks to our second guest of honor, Mr. Alok Kumar, sharing his views from an entrepreneurial point of view, which could be of substantial benefit to our students who may have entrepreneurial ambitions. I am sure your views on the importance of developing an understanding of the HR implications of using co-working spaces will make the audience think about it from not only a perspective of an employee's point of view, but from a managerial point of view as well. I would be fond wanting in my duties if I don't offer my thanks to Ms. Megha Sen, our special guest, on the occasion of for gracing us with invaluable experience. I do hope the topic you spoke on, that is the role of HR in striving to manage the mental health well-being of employees in the post-pandemic era, will not only resonate among the employees and our students, and will generate greater awareness regarding mental well-being of employees. Apart from making them realize the importance of managing the mental health of employees in an organization. I would like to offer my sincere thanks also to Ms. Madhu Sharma, our other special guest on the occasion, for their insightful address on how to create employee engagement using cost optimization in the post-pandemic era, an area which needs to be looked at several times with attention by organization, big and small today, in the rapidly changing business environment. At this juncture, I would also thanks to our guest for patiently answering the questions from our audience and making this session is lively and interactive one. I express hope that the audience will benefit immensely from the views and opinions expressed by the esteemed guests today while deliberating on different dimensions related to the main theme of the conclave. I take this opportunity to express my heartfelt gratitude to our Vice Chairman, Shri Gupta ji, for being a constant source of inspiration and ideas which always guide us and develop not only our thought process but inspire us to challenge ourselves. I sincerely thanks to our Director, Dr. Aparna Mishra, for our unwavering support, watchful supervision, and encouragement that enable us to successfully conduct this conclave. I extend my heartfelt thanks to my organizing team members, my faculty colleagues, Dr. Suniti Chandiok, Ms. Tanushri, Dr. Azhar Usmani, Dr. Latika, who stood behind me and provide their unflinching support and cooperation in studying this event. Our student volunteers named Pulkit Jain, Gitanshu, Bharat, Navneet Kaur, Tanishka, Samrat Oswal, and Ankit Singh, without whose active involvement and support, this event could not have been a success. I also thanks our audience for turning up a good number and making this event a success. So I just thanks to everyone. Over to Latika.
Thank you, sir. We would now commence with the technical session on the theme of the conclave, organizational success through effective human resource management, the post-COVID trend. As we are starting with the technical session, I would like to request our dignitaries to join us and enjoy the technical session. We have with us experts from different sectors of the industry who have been invited here to share their experiences and discuss their innovative practices being followed across the corporate arena to prepare an optimal workforce in these challenging times. On behalf of Banarsidas Chandiwala Institute of Professional Studies, I would like to welcome our experts, Ms. Madhu, founder and CEO of Skill Cloud, Mr. Akash Bharadwaj, HR Manager, Vavano Center for Aboriginal Health, Ontario, Mr. Harsimranjeet Singh, Recruitment Associate, Byju's, and Ms. Riddhi Bhalla, Associate Professional HR, DXC Technologies. They have joined us for the technical session today. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce to you our first guest speaker for the session, Ms. Madhu, founder and CEO of Skill Cloud. Ma'am is a seasoned project and business manager with more than 2 decades of experience in the industry and contributed to training and delivery with a knack of training and delivery management, customer service, and operations. Ma'am is an expert in training for soft skills, performance management, employee engagement, recruitment, and team management skills. Ms. Madhu has also been awarded and appreciated for her commendable leadership skills and her contribution in employability trainings, mentoring, and counseling throughout her career. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am. It's an honor to have you with us today. May I request you to take over the session and share your experiences with the participants?
A very good afternoon to everybody, and thank you so much, ma'am, for that lovely introduction. It's always a pleasure to hear about myself, and I'm sure it is always a pleasure to hear about ourselves and know that we are recognized in some way with the contribution that we are doing to the society, I would say. First and foremost, my apologies. I am taking this session from a car. I am traveling, and I just stopped by. So I will not be taking too much time. I will start straight away. The beautiful topic that has come to me where I'm supposed to be talking is managing mental health. Since 2020, we have been struggling with a lot of apprehensions and apprehensions of today, apprehensions of tomorrow, our future. And we have been living in a bubble of uncertainty. And the uncertainties of tomorrow, of the future, is what breeds anxiety. So uncertainty breeds anxiety. So this is something that I have learned and I have seen and I have adhered and ensured that I remember this every day. Because this is not just something that we would talk about it as an employer or as an employee. I would say as a human being. We are all living in uncertainties. So hi, I'll give a short little this thing that, my name is Madhu. And before I start on anything else, I would like to thank the fraternity of BCIPS for giving me this platform, giving me this opportunity to talk my mind. I'm an ardent follower of mental health counseling. I do a lot of one-to-one sessions with many of the people that I am connected with pan-India, whether it is academics, corporate, etc. Because unfortunately, in India, we still do not encourage mental counseling. It's a very unfortunate thing. And, this pandemic has brought about some very, very unthinkable phase and a tsunami of emotions that has been unaddressed. It has been subdued. It has been ignored, or it has been buried. And in some cases, to be honest, we did not even know that we were capable of such emotions. I don't know how many of you would agree with it, but I think I personally have seen and gone through so much of it with myself and the team in the last 2 years. And trust me, it is not a very, very pretty sight. And, I am a supporter of women empowerment. I feel that, there is nothing against the men, because I think the men also need a lot of empowerment. But yes, there are times that I feel that women are striving to do much more than what they are, should I say, built to be. They are striving much more to what they should be doing, and they are not sharing it out. And these small little emotions have greatly impacted on our mental and behavioral health, of most of the individuals, I would say. The psychosocial behavior has started governing most of our relationship, personally and professionally. The uncertainty of life, whether you talk about in terms of finances, job, health, has shaken up our lifestyle, wherein we used to not think even a minute before saying that, okay, fine, let's do it. Now we have started thinking at least 10 times, contemplating, apprehending, and maybe still not being positive about the decisions that we make, and I'm sure we would all agree that working from home is much tougher than working in office. It is a lot tougher because we have not learned to draw a line or bifurcate our schedules. And I'm talking in terms of everybody, whether it be a mother, whether it be a father, whether it be a sister or a daughter, it can be just about anybody. We have not drawn a line. We have not bifurcated our schedules. And it is not because of our fault. It is because Because we have not been at home most of the time, the 9 to 6, which actually is not 6, it goes to 9 to 9 and probably 9 to 12 also at times, that, that sudden, that liking of the people, the family, that you're at home, so you are 24/7 available. So that is a kind of a psyche that has brought in, and that is the reason why, it has become very difficult for us to bifurcate our timings. So these are the small little things that, I have been able to find out from my own experience, and as well as I have made it a very, very easy and a clear way to connect with my employees. I would say, I would not even call them employees. It's more like a team to me. They're like family to me. Right. And I am constantly understanding that, this non-bifurcation of schedules has constantly, put us in a tug of war situation. Should I listen to my family? Should I listen to my boss? Should I go for my deadline, or should I go and run into the kitchen? Should I look at my mother's needs, or should I look at my daughter's needs? And trust me, we are all running through that guilt factor. Every person who is probably, who's listening, just think back a little bit. There has been moments when you have been guilty for something that you did not do intentionally. And that guilt, I won't say kills us, but yeah, it somehow does play in our mind for a very long time. So that is where mental health really comes in. Now out here, yes, we cannot step into your houses. We cannot step into our team's houses and do what is there. But yes, we as people, we as HR professionals, we as managers, as leaders, we can make a certain change in the way that we work. One, we can ease out things. We can draw a line that if it is a 9 to 6, it is a 9 to 6 only. Yes, we are saying that they don't have to travel. They don't have XYZ luxuries, but a 9 to 6 is a 9 to 6. And that is for the leader to decide. That's not for anybody else. An employee will not say no to you because they are living in that uncertainty of losing a job, of getting reprimanded for not completing their work, of not getting the right appraisals. So please, we people as leaders have to understand that. Set in the ground rules. Invest on raising the emotion quotient. The EQ is very important now. Especially, there are families who have lost their loved ones. There have been a major setback in terms of finances. A lot of things that we don't discuss openly. But yes, we have to be a little more cognizant, aware, emotionally invested on it, that these things exist and it could have happened. And loved one does not really mean somebody that, from the family. It can be a very dear friend. It can be just about anybody. And it has taken a huge emotional turmoil on people, right? We as leaders, I would say we should watch out for early indications. And early indications could be a dip in performance, impulsive, reckless behavior, missing commitments, frequent absenteeism from work, though it is work from home. And it is very easy for people to say, "Ghar pe hi to kaam karte ho, chutti kyun lena hai?" But I think everybody still deserves it. So we have to ensure that we remember those things. Stick to the working hours. One thing that I introduced with my team was to have coffee breaks. If you remember, during the first lockdown, when everybody started working from home, there was a very beautiful memes that used to come on social media that we miss our coffee breaks. That was a time when you could do that heart-to-heart conversations or just off the rack conversations, So I made it a point to have this virtual coffee breaks with my team. Everybody sits with their coffee, tea, or whatever, and we drink together virtually. And we talk, not about work, about family, about friends, about anything but work. And trust me, it helped. It helped to connect, because we are social animals. We want to connect socially. We want to connect one-to-one, which was not possible. But virtually, yes, it was possible. And it was very, very easy to break that ice. Acknowledging and normalizing emotions and feelings is very important. At times, they are told that, you cannot cry in office. When you're at work, when you're at meeting, you only talk about meeting. You cannot show your emotions. But we have to normalize that, because we don't know if a person is, I don't know if there's anybody who disagrees with me. When you're not, happy from within, you will never perform professionally. Well, at least that's for me. We are not able to give 100%. And nobody wants a 0% output employee. Nobody wants a team member who gives 0 output. So why is that 0 output? Let's add on value to it. So let's acknowledge the emotions and feelings, talk about the losses, the work-life balance, parental issues, the person as a parent or their own parents, the financial issues. I think it's very, very common, and it's okay to talk about it. With the current situation, there are so many offices that have resorted to continuing work from home. They just have probably 1 or 2 days of attending office. Like I have also done that. So the days that my team comes to office, I always make sure that we have 2 hours of team building exercise. We do team building exercises, we chit chat, we talk about work also, no doubt about it. But yes, we break the ice first. We make them comfortable, because after so many days of not meeting together and you meet, it takes a little time. So breaking the ice is very important, and getting the feeling of the team being together, because there are new joinees also. So, when they come in together, they feel, they have the feeling of belongingness, and that's important. I would also suggest that, the managers and the supervisors and the leaders be encouraged to reach out on personal level to their team members and infeed trust and faith. And I can guarantee that you shall earn it back. Be mindful of now. And being mindful actually is one of the best things that you can do to understand mental health. For yourself, I would say it's just not about giving. Learn to say no also. Whether it is no to your boss or whether it is saying no to your team members. That I am having my lunch now. I will talk to you later. I think we should infeed that. We all practice it. In my team, we all practice it. We apologize for disturbing them during their lunchtime. I think that is the basic respect we can give them, for giving their heart, soul, energy, and time to make us successful. So with this, I would say that this is what I practice on a personal note. And I have not had any issues with my team. My team has been really great with me. And currently, maximum, about 80% of my staff is working from home. And I'm absolutely okay with it. But yes, we are a very, very close-knit team and a very close-knit family. Well, that's my experience. And that would be, like I say, because I'm a life coach, we learn from life and we give back the coaching about life from the experiences that we have. So mental health is not that difficult. Just be mindful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and sharing your valuable views on the importance of holistic health and how these challenging times have impacted the mental and behavioral aspects of health for each one of us. I'm sure our participants have been immensely benefited by your address.
Thank you so much. And honestly, it would be a pleasure for me if there's anybody who would want to reach out to me personally for any of the issues or anything that you would like to talk about. Since I am practicing it, and it would be an absolute honor And it would be a pleasure for me to be able to connect with any one of you who would, I would not say need help, but just need a confidant.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Moving forward, it is a great honor to introduce to you our next expert for the session, Mr. Akash Bharadwaj, HR Manager, Wabano Center for Aboriginal Health, Ontario, Canada. Mr. Bharadwaj has more than 12 years of experience in the HR domain with companies like Travelers.com, Camtech Business Services Ontario, Mints Group, Toronto, etc. Sir has obtained a number of licenses and certifications in human resources and labor relations. With an excellent track in education, Mr. Bharadwaj has also been a recipient of a number of awards and scholarships throughout his academic and professional life. Welcome, sir. It is an honor to have you with us today. May I request you to address the participants and share your experiences with us?
Thank you. Thank you for a wonderful introduction. Am I audible enough? Let's just start with that.
Yes, Akash, you're audible.
Yes,
Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. There are things with technology these days that can drive you, over the top. I'm glad that it's working out fine. So once again, thank you for the introduction. At the outset, I would like to congratulate the organizing team of this seminar, of this conference month, and a beautiful theme at the most opportune time, I would say. There's no better time than today. I always get interested and intrigued by platforms like this, because you come in and you share your thoughts. But in addition to that, and that's like an underhanded benefit that you derive out of it, you get very good ideas, interventions from fellow HR professionals and other academic expertise as well that you take away. So there are a lot of takeaways. So I have like selfish interest as well in being a part of this event. I have a couple of things. I've been asked to talk on the global perspective in terms of HR interventions and good practices that helped in kind of sustaining the business and continuing the business. Pandemic, I mean, it's been an eye opener for most organizations, particularly for organizations in North America, which were traditionally focused externally, trying to kind of see how to maximize the profitability, how to increase efficiency, how to streamline internal process so that the end objectives are met. The pandemic it sent everything, it made everything topsy-turvy, it turned tables. People were kind of now more concerned about continuity and being resilient. So these things kind of emerged at the very top, and continuity and resilience are things that are very close to my heart. I've been an ardent supporter, a vehement kind of supporter of these two important perspectives in any business. You have to, regardless of the fact, whatever business that you're doing, if it is a service-based organization, if it's a manufacturing product-based organization, if you are kind of interacting with individuals, if you're selling ideas, if you're even if you're marketing a person, right? So it doesn't really matter which domain are you in, but business isn't always going to continue in usual circumstances. There are going to be disruptions, there are going to be interruptions, hindrances, and obstructions. And it is in these situations, how do you ensure the continuity of your business? How do you ensure that you can continue with offering the same level of services, with same level of customer services to your clients or to your customers? How do you do that? How can you make the organization more resilient? So it requires contingency planning, and a lot of effort has to be invested in before you actually find yourself in those turbulent situations, right? So it requires planning way ahead of time. It requires kind of jumping ahead of the curve and anticipating situations. Nevertheless, I digress, so I'll come back. So this was something that the organization should have done beforehand. But the pandemic was sort of an eye opener for them. It was thrusted on them. They had nothing. They had to pivot and constantly evolve. The directives were changing from the government health bodies, from regulatory bodies. The directives and recommendations and suggestions were changing day in, day out. So one day masking is important, and then the vaccination is important. Okay, first dose is not important. You need to get a booster. You need to get a second dose, and then you need to get a third dose. Over here in Canada and in North America and in the States, we are talking about fourth dose. A lot of our employees in our organization have received their fourth dose. So everybody was constantly pivoting, things were changing. So when, as a management team, as an organization, when you're trying to come to terms with what's happening around in your socio-political environment, how do you make sure that your employees are abreast of it? How do you make sure that they are not baffled or perplexed by it? So it requires communication. It requires constant communication. So this was something that we did. This was something that most organizations who would categorize themselves as being successful in dealing with this pandemic and dealing with the ramifications of this pandemic, they kind of communicated with their employees. They got down, they got their feet wet, they kind of took a bottoms up approach rather than kind of taking a high-handed approach and telling them this is what the policy is, this is what you need to do, this is what the directions are. They said, okay, you know what, we are all in it together. You and I and us, we are kind of sailing in the same ship. It is a little confusing. It is a big commotion, kerfuffle, but let's just sit down and try and unwrap it and understand it. So the organization had to communicate. So for us, HR professionals, it was very important to take that front, to take to the front lines and kind of recommend to the management team that you guys need to connect with your team members. The directors need to reach out, and then right now is the time that you need to kind of assimilate and answer all the questions. No matter, like, it doesn't matter if the questions are twisted, complicated, convoluted. You need to answer, you need to provide information. Even if it is like difficult conversations, you need to have those conversations and say, I work in a healthcare organization. We were in essential services. We were declared in essential services at the very beginning, right from the time it was declared a pandemic. So over here, it was March 18th, around March 18th or March 17th, when the country said that, okay, we recognize it as a pandemic. It is a red flag. It is code red. We need to kind of adjust ourselves. There were a slew of measures that were kind of just thrust upon, and the businesses had to adapt. And we pivoted, we adapted, we evolved. But so I'll talk about a little bit of what happened in the healthcare sector. So at the when it was declared a pandemic, when everything was cleared, the healthcare professionals, because they were the frontline workers, we have nurse practitioners, we have registered practical nurses, we have registered nurses, we have physicians, we have specialists who work with us, we have pediatricians, we have paramedical professionals, so we have chiropractors, we have massage therapists, we have chiropodists who work with us. So these people were there, and they were at the front lines, and they were a little confused. They were like, okay, so how we are going to be seeing people in person? Why can't we work remotely? Why can't we telecommute? Why can't we work from home? So there was a little bit of a pushback, and then we had to kind of sit with them and make them understand that, okay, you are essential workers. When you came into this profession, the understanding was that you accept the risk that comes with it, and now that the society needs it, you cannot backtrack. So we had to have multiple conversations with them, even before kind of resorting to what the legislation says. So particularly in our geography, the legislation says that if you're a regulated healthcare professional, you cannot refuse to work in an emergency. You cannot refuse to see a patient, or you cannot refuse to see somebody who comes to you, even during a pandemic, even during a global emergency. So rather than kind of resorting to what the legislation says, yanking out the policy manual, yanking out the statute, and just placing it on the table. We decided to kind of maintain that cordial relationship and have a conversation with them, and it worked. It took a little bit of time. It worked, and I've been talking to my fellow professionals, my counterparts in other community healthcare settings, and they said, okay, they just they threw in their towel and they said, okay, we are working from home, we cannot deal with this. And what that happened was it impacted the community at large. It impacted because the services were disrupted. You cannot go to a doctor or you cannot talk to a doctor or a nurse practitioner when you are a terminally ill patient and expect to get prescriptions refilled or expect to get a diagnosis over a Zoom call, right? But that didn't happen for us. We never shut down even for a day, and it worked really well. I also spoke to a lot of my colleagues who work in the IT sector, and they said that working remotely wasn't something alien to them. So they had been kind of resorting to hybrid models since time immemorial. So this was just another step. So it almost came naturally to them. It was an extension of a traditional practice which is prevalent on an industry-wide basis. So it worked for some, it didn't work for some. What I'm getting at is, in terms of approach, it depends on the industry that you're working in. It depends on the type of community members, or the type of clients, or the type of customers that you're serving. So your approach has to be bespoke. Your approach has to be customized according to the needs and requirements of your business, of your organization. Without taking much time, I'll get into a couple of things which really worked for most organizations, and I've kind of filtered it out depending on conversations that I've had with various professionals working in HR and labor relations. I did talk about continuity and resilience. Then there was a greater need which was felt to invest in the benefits package. So the previous speaker talked about the importance of mental health. They talked about the importance of equity. They talked about the importance of maintaining work-life balance. And this was something that we recognized, professionals here across the length and breadth of Canada, across the length and breadth of America, recognized at the beginning of the pandemic that even though people are going to be working from home, the first reaction is, okay, you get to work from home. You're working from the comfort of your drawing room, of your living room, or you're working on your couch. What is it that can go wrong? You don't need anything. You have all the time in the world available at your disposal. You could just log off and run an errand, or go and drop your kid to the school, or pick them up from school, cook your dinner well in advance. There are a host of things you could do, but we recognize that there is a flip side to the coin. There is a problem of digital equity. Not all employees would have the resources to be able to kind of work from home. That's point one. The second point is, people may not have the luxury of dedicating a specific space to their work. They may have a small house, or they may have multiple members living in the house, so they may not be able to kind of work without interruptions. And some professionals, they require a level of privacy and confidentiality. So how are you going to deal with that piece? So what people did was they offered flexibility. Okay, hybrid models. So those who can and who want can work from home, but those who feel comfortable working to the coming to the workplace and kind of doing their own work, they have the freedom and liberty to do that. Our offices are open. It's not that we are going to get rid of the building. Our offices are open. You can come in, you can work from the office and connect with the team. So in addition to that, we took a multi-pronged approach. So this was kind of how they would work, how they would work in the pandemic. Do they want to work from home? Do they want to work from office? The second thing was kind of bolstering our benefits package. So we invested in employee assistance plan. Employee assistance plans, what it does is, so you have counselors and psychotherapists and clinical therapists available to you round the clock throughout the year. So you could just pick up your phone, ring them up, and just vent okay, I'm going through this issue, this issue, or I have this concern. It could be a financial issue. It could be a life problem. It could be something which is happening within your family. It could be a work-related issue, and you'll get counseling for it. So this is a sort of very strong buttressing support that the employees can rely on in tumultuous times. So if something's going wrong, I have somebody that I can talk to, and confidentiality and privacy is assured. And this is what my employer is doing for me. So we invested in that. We also invested in our benefits package. So we kind of brought in more mental health resources. We brought in more, we increased the premium limits. Sorry, the deductible. Oh, I'm going bonkers. We increased the limit of expenses under the individual healthcare and dental care plans for employees, and this was something that we were doing for our employees across the sector. Like multiple organizations who could afford it did that. So and in addition to that, something which really worked, and it kind of harps to what the previous speaker was talking about, maintaining a work-life balance. There were policies that were kind of put in place, policies like disconnecting from work, and there was a collated call for action from the organizations, which moved the government to take action. And the government very recently, actually they did it last year, but there was something called disconnecting from work. So all employers, in particularly for our jurisdiction, the state of Ontario, the province of Ontario, they said you need to have a disconnecting from work policy. So what it means is after your work hours are done, you are under absolutely no obligation to respond to your employer. You don't have to respond to the text messages. You don't have to respond to the email. You don't have to respond to the calls without any fear of reprisal. Like, you don't have to have this fear at the back of your mind. If I'm not going to respond to this email, my promotion will be affected. I'm not going to get that bonus, or I'll be treated with partiality. So you don't have that fear in your mind, which is a very fantastic move. Now, organizations, what they did was they said, we appreciate what the government did. We appreciate what you did for us, but we are going to take it a step further, and we are going to open it to our employees. And that was evidence-based research. So evidence-based research said that people work differently. Some people are most active in the morning. Some people work the best in the afternoon. Some people work, they are at their optimum level in the evening. So we told employees, okay, you tell us what works for you. Do you want it because you're working from home? Do you want to work in the morning? Do you want to work in the afternoon? As long as the work gets done, we're okay with it. Like, that's the end goal. The work is getting done. And you cannot still rely on the fact in this day and age that you have to be in the office to complete the work. Now, it was, mind you, it was different for for some sectors. For us, for example, the hospital, we work in healthcare, the physicians and the nurse practitioners, they by default chose to work in the morning, and that kind of jives well with the kind of people that we are serving. Nobody wants to come to the to the clinic or to the health center at in the midnight. They would go to the hospital for emergency care. So that's something that we did, disconnecting from work. The other thing that we did was, and again, it was kind of the organizations who provided the stimulus, that was the catalyst, and then the government took action, and they said, okay, all employers need to have something called the electronic monitoring policies. So what that mandate requires is that if you're an organization and you're going to be monitoring your employees, because a lot of banks did that, a lot of IT organizations, ITES organizations were doing that. They were kind of monitoring the number of clicks. People were, number of clicks. They were recording the number of clicks that an individual would usually resort to in a minute's time or in an hour's time. They were recording individuals, their employees' screens. So you have to log into your organization's application to do whatever you have to do, whatever your role entails. And they were recording how much time the individual spends on the application vis-a-vis other things. It could be just, browsing the internet or doing something, or the time that they spent away from the desk. So it was taking a toll on employees. Okay, even though I'm working from home, but I'm under this constant surveillance. There's this constant surveillance, and I have somebody over my shoulder, over my head, constantly watching. So there was this additional stress. So the government said, if you are going to be monitoring your employees, you need to come out and open, and you need to tell them how are you going to monitor them, so that they are there. So all of it is about acknowledgement. All of it is about awareness. So if you know something, as again, I will say, as Ms. Madhu was pointing out, that uncertainty breeds anxiety. So if you don't know about something, you're always anxious. You're always, skeptical. You're always apprehensive. But if you're aware, okay, this is what is going to happen if I take this step, it brings a sense of relief, of knowing what's about to happen. So the electronic monitoring policies that we implemented really worked well. We are still in the process of kind of monitoring it, and it works very differently in a unionized environment as compared to a non-unionized environment, and that's something that I could talk about for like hours at stretch, because there are very fundamental differences between whether you are unionized or whether you are not unionized, because the social dynamics, the organizational dynamics changes when you're interacting with the union, right? So I won't digress. I won't go down that rabbit hole. We also talked about, not particularly for my organization, but what I've gotten off by bouncing ideas with other professionals, that they implemented condensed work weeks. And Canada by far isn't the only country that's been contemplating that. There have been countries out there, for example, Iceland did that at the very beginning, and they did it very successfully, condensed work week. And then Scotland did it, Belgium did it very recently, and it was done by the government, the national governments of those countries. It was not something that the organization decided. The government said, this is what is going to happen. We are going to go ahead to, we are going to move ahead to 4-day work weeks. Now, they gave the option. Most policies with these governments, so I know Scotland did it, Iceland did it, Belgium did it, Spain did it, UK has been toiling with the idea for a very, very long time. So what they did was they said, okay, we are going to implement 4-day work week. Now we open it up for employees. So employees can decide they could choose to work condensed work weeks or abbreviated work weeks, as we like to call it colloquially in the domain. So you work 4-day condensed weeks for 6 months and then decide if it works for you. If it doesn't, you can come back to your normal hours. And some countries, what they did was they said they became very supportive of the employees, and they said, if there is a gap, if there is a hiatus financial implication, we will pitch in and we will cover that. So that requires a nationwide kind of push and thrust to be able to kind of make this program successful. So condensed work week, that was something that a lot of organizations did. And engagement activities, like this was very important, especially for organizations which have moved to telecommuting and work from home. So imagine the situation: you have a bunch of graduates who graduated in 2020 or 2021, or even this year, 2022. We are 3 years in, and we are still talking about the pandemic. Isn't that wonderful? So we have a bunch of new graduates who have absolutely no clue, and they have met their team members on 22 inches screens, or if they have the luxury of 32 inches computer screen. They haven't been able to kind of foster that connection with their co-workers. They don't know what a cooler banter is. They cannot gossip. They haven't been able to kind of develop that cohesion. There is no team dynamics. So how do you keep these people engaged? How do you inculcate the feeling of loyalty towards the organization? So you need to have engagement activities. So we were very conscientious about the fact that it is pandemic, but we would still do in-person events. Food is a big motivator. We know from research, we know from Maslow's need hierarchy that food is a big motivator. So what we would do is we would have lunch and learns. either we will provide you lunch, and it doesn't take a lot, coffee and donuts or coffee and pastries or coffee and biscuits or tea and biscuits. You bring people in, they chat, and then they get to meet each other. Of course, with the PPEs on, personal protective equipments are very, very are paramount. So keep your masks on, but at least talk to each other, not over a screen, not over a telecommuting platform, but in person. Foster those relationships, right? So that's important, and that's what we did. And I am very conscious about the time. So I'll just talk about one last things, and then I'll open it up and not hold time. The evidence-based research, the importance of evidence-based research. I cannot underscore the importance of evidence-based research any less. Like, it is, I think, the most critical piece. So you need to go back to your basics. You need to go back to the academics. You need to see what's happening in organizational psychology. You need to see what's happening in organizational development, and you need to put it in practice. And you need to customize it according to your organization. I don't say that you follow things blindly. If research says this is what I'm going to do. Don't emulate. Adapt. So a lot of organizations did that. They went back and they studied meta-analysis. They looked at research studies, and they understood what the impact of a particular work intervention would have on their employees. And then they kind of made those changes in their workplace. And with that, I will I'll conclude my session. And if there are any questions, I'm more than happy to take those questions. And once again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to kind of torment you to my banter.
Akash will be taking up the questions at the end of the session.
Perfect, that sounds good.
So thank you so much for sharing your experiences, especially being in the healthcare industry and giving us a global perspective in HR followed during and post-COVID. Thank you. Now, I would like to introduce to you our next guest speaker, Mr. Harsimranjeet Singh, Recruitment Associate, Bcips. Mr. Singh is an experienced human resource professional with demonstrated history of working in the consumer goods industry. He's a skilled and innovative manager with exceptional team management and leadership skills and a knack of public speaking. He completed his MBA with specialization in human resource management and has been an out-of-the-box thinker throughout his academic and professional life. Thank you for your gracious presence, sir. May I now request you to address the participants and share your expertise with us?
Thank you. A very good afternoon to everyone. It's so lovely to see familiar faces. This is Harsimranjeet Singh, and I'm a recruitment associate at Bcips. I'm speaking from Bangalore. So, talking about the pandemic, there were few industries which actually benefited from it. So, in my industry, that is EdTech, that was an opportunity for us to make the most of it, since our whole work is online. So it was not very difficult for us to mold into this. So I will be speaking about the hybrid work model. I know most of these topics might have been covered already, but I'll just add my points and my personal experience and perspective to the conversation. So how the pandemic changed the way we work, and what does the future of work look like? So to begin with, when the pandemic started, I remember there was so much uncertainty, and people were scared because it was something we had never experienced before, probably not want to experience again. So we really didn't know what to do, and to see how the industries, the companies were also confused, and quickly they were adapting to the working model. So there were basically two options for us. It was work from home or work from office. And due to the pandemic situation, obviously work from office was not possible because of the safety of the employees. So now we'll look at the how pandemic actually normalized remote work. What we thought was impossible, working from home, now it is a normal practice. It's being practiced almost everywhere now. So, but what does this mean for the future? I mean, can we permanently work from home? Is it something that is possible? And can a work from office actually replace work from home? Actually replace work from home? Because a human touch, I believe, is very important. and that is the only missing point in work from home, I believe. But also work from home also brings the gender equality, because then men would also have to contribute to the household chores, which is mostly come upon on women employees. So these are some of the conversations that we will be taking up. So first of all, the great debate, to work from home or work from office. So I have been in this industry for 22 months, and coincidentally, half of my experience, exactly 11 months, was work from home, and 11 months now it's work from office. So in my personal opinion, I would prefer work from office, but I'd still like to share my points of the advantages that I believe from both of these styles of working. So work from home, obviously the biggest advantage is that you are at the comfort of working from home, right? This is the first advantage, because you are at your comfort level. But that also, the disadvantage with that is, if you're in your comfort level, you probably won't give it that much effort, because if you want to grow, if you want to learn something, you have to get out your comfort zone. And the next advantage, obviously, the major advantage of work from home is saving the money that would otherwise be going to traveling or rent, right? So that is one another major factor. Then we have improved work-life balance, because obviously, if you're always surrounded by your loved ones, your family and friends, even if you had a bad day at office, you can just talk it out with people, and you can be okay by the next day. But in work from office, probably you would feel alone or left out. So that is a very big difference between these two. And the fourth point I would like to add as advantage is that you can work as per your choice. You can have your own desk, you can customize it the way you want, you can work on bed, because end of the day they want to work. Now it doesn't matter where I work, how I work, so I can work as per my comfort level. So these are all the points that I believe I experienced from work from home. And now talking about work from office, the first point is that again, the human factor, the human touch, to actually meet people in person and work with them has more impact and value. And I've experienced it myself, because when I met people, when I met my manager on Zoom and we used to talk, I could hear her, but it was not something that was actually affecting me. But when we meet in person, obviously that had more value and impact, which showed in my work also. This is one major difference, the human factor. And also, when you are working from office, you actually get to see the company's culture, how people are working, how the teams work. Obviously, you get to know more people, not just your department. You can talk to people from finance, you can talk to people from sales. So there's a lot of exposure. So this is one another major advantage from work from office. And the third point I would like to add is the prospect of growth and learning is immense in work from office. Since uh, continuing from the exposure part, if you are exposed to so many kind of people and departments, obviously you will get to know a lot of things which you probably would not have if you were working from home. Because in work from home, you're only talking to one person or probably one team. You're going in one direction, so that doesn't give you a what do you say, a good scope for growth and improvement. And also, being an HR, there would be the fourth point is that being an HR, you have to handle disputes. There would be arguments in the team. So I personally believe that it is better and more effective to talk to people face to face, sort it out in person, go over a coffee, and just talk it out, as compared to Zoom. Because even if I talk to them over a video call or phone call, it won't be as impactful as talking to them and one on one. Just what is the problem, we can work it out. So that is a major difference between work from home and work from office. So coming to my point, that is the hybrid model, which is nothing but it's a mixture of both things, best of both worlds, right? So hybrid model is nothing that you'll be working for some days at home, working from office for some days, right? So how does this work? So what is hybrid model? Let's go to the basics. It's a flexible approach that allows the employees to work at their own choice, or the management's choice, I would say. So there are basically four types of hybrid model. One is hybrid at will, which means that employee will decide when do they want to come to work, right? They would say, "Ki, I want to come 3 days at work, 2 days I'll take work from home." That is hybrid at will. Then we have hybrid split week. That is the company assigns specific days. Okay, we'll be following MWF, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You all have to report to the office, and rest of the days is your work from home. That is hybrid split week. And then we have hybrid manager scheduling, which is nothing but your manager gets to decide when does he want to see you in office and work on the projects that you're working on, right? And the last is hybrid mix, which is a combination of all these factors that I discussed. So a survey was done by ny.com, and we on 5,000 employees, and it was found out that 77% of these employees have a policy of hybrid at their company, and 15% were still going to office, like 100% attendance was required. 3% people were fully working remotely, and 5% people didn't have an attendance policy. I mean, there was no such policy as to come or not. So this is the way, but I mean, 77% people are already working in hybrid is a very huge thing, and that took a notice of the management, obviously. So what impact did the hybrid model have? So after seeing that, people are obviously in their comfort zone working from home, they would not want to come back to office. So the solution for this was hybrid model, and it was found out, research was done by Wakefield Research, and it shows that more than 47% people, employees, would likely to resign if they were not given a flexible work model. If they were not given hybrid model, they will probably think of quitting the company, which is a major problem because it will lead to a lot of attrition, and obviously you would lose a great pool of talent just because of the rigid policies, right? So obviously the management and the companies had to bend to the request, and survey was done in April 2022, and it showed that 77% of the companies have already enrolled hybrid model, right? And in order to retain the people and keep them happy, and right, so 56% of these companies have given them the choice ki you choose when do you want to come to work. So even in hybrid model, they are giving hybrid at will option, that you decide when you want to come. So why does the hybrid model work? So what are the key points that are to be mentioned in this is, first of all, increased productivity, because I'm getting both things. I'm working at home, also working from office, so my productivity doesn't go down, it actually goes up. Improved employee satisfaction and culture, because if you provide full autonomy and decision making to the employee, it empowers them to be more confident in their work and their way of working. And obviously more possibilities for continuous learning, because as I told you before also, in work from office you get to learn more. So even if you're working from home and office, you will get the benefit of both the things. And yeah, the major point I would like to highlight is improved mental health, because if we give them the option to work at their own terms, it will give them a sense of satisfaction, a sense of peace, that they can work in their own terms without having the pressure of delivering in certain deadlines. And obviously this also helps to attract wider talent pool. What I mean by this is, you can hire people from any background or any nationality, because you can give them work from home and they will work with you, right? I mean, the location or the work from office is not a condition then. And obviously that increases your scope of hiring more people. And then we have improved employee employer trust. If the employee is giving you the same level of work working from home, then that builds a trust in the employer also, that this guy is giving 100% at home also and at work also, so this doesn't affect my projects, my deadlines. So this is all that I would like to add, and I would also like to thank everyone for giving me this opportunity and platform, and a special thanks to Mr. Azadul Usmani sir, because he has shared this opportunity with me, and obviously Mr. Davinder Sharma sir and director. And it was very nice to see all of you, and I hope to see you soon. And thank you so much again.
Thank you so much for sharing the real-time perspective on operating in a hybrid mode of working from the industry, sir. Moving right along, we have with us our next resource person, Ms. Riddhi Bhalla, Associate Professional HR, DXC Technologies. Ms. Bhalla is a seasoned HR professional who believes in adding values by recognizing the pulse of the business. She has been handling challenges of managing human resources with her creativity, insightfulness, and innovative approach in these uncertain times. In addition to her professional expertise, Ms. Bhalla is an enthusiast for activities like yoga, swimming, and other performing arts. Thank you for being with us today, Ms. Bhalla. May I request you to take over the session and address the participants?
Sure. Thank you so much, ma'am, for that wonderful introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I know this is the end of the discussion, but I hope I can gauge and I can keep you all interacted for the next 15 minutes of this conversation. My name is Riddhi. I have been an ex student of PCIPS, and it feels really happy and really proud to be back to my alma mater. I was at one point of time, at that point where I was organizing these events, these conclaves and discussions. And today, being one of the spokesperson, one of the panelists, it certainly feels very privileged. Along with my junior, Mr. Harsimran, great discussion, great insights. Thank you so much, and thanks to all the panelists who have spoken so far. My topic for today would be post-COVID attrition, or in other terms, the importance or significance of retaining the talent in an organization post-COVID. I understand that this might be a topic that has been covered in all the discussions that we've had so far, and there might be a little overlapping, but I'll still want to, give my 2 cents as to what I have had experience so far, and in my understanding, how can retention strategy be important in maintaining and managing the talent of an organization. So moving along, 47% of HR professionals have quoted that in workforce management, retention or employee turnover is one of the top most challenges that they have faced, and retention is at the core of a strategic action for an organization, because it means that the candidates or the employees who you have chosen for your organization, who you have trained and retained in your organization for some amount of time, they should be continuing and willing to work for your organization for next some period of time, and you want them to always go back to you and to not have any other alternatives out in the market, to not have to look into other opportunities. And to do this, it's easier said than done, but the core lies in the fact that HR as well as the leadership of an organization are proactively managing their workforce. How can we do that? Is by having certain processes, certain policies in place, which are not just one-off or one-time activity. They are ongoing, they are continuous in nature, and there are continuous interventions, regular interventions, wherein we are able to gauge the interest level, the kind of performance that the employees are displaying, have discussions with them, have probably some coffee connects or cohorts with the leadership to discuss what the future lies for some probably underperformers or some overperformers. This of course is a part of the performance evaluation, but apart from that, in actually in tandem with it, complementing this performance evaluation would be a few other activities as well. For instance, top retention strategies with which I can see from my experience would be the internal mobility. In DXC as well as other ITES organizations and renowned organizations, employer referrals and internal movement comprises of more than 40% of their sourcing strategy. So that means that even though we are recruiting from outside, we are hiring freshers, we are hiring experienced people, 40 to 50% of our sourcing would be from our internal employees. Either they are going to refer somebody, or they are going to move laterally, not vertically but laterally, into different roles to experience those uncharted areas, to experience the breadth of that particular function. For instance, currently, if I'm working as a recruiter, as a campus recruiter for TXC Technology, I might want to understand how a business partner functions in the HR domain, or how an L&D professional, a learning and development professional, works for an IT organization. What are the kinds of upskillings or learnings that the employees would want? So that would be my lateral movement in the HR function. Similar to this, other employees also would want to do that, and that is one of the core sourcing strategies for the organization, and which also proves to be one of the highest retention strategies. As per a few surveys which go around, I think around 70% of the people have told that, if we are promoted within first 3 years of our service or our association with an organization, they are more likely to stay with that organization for longer. They are lesser likely to switch on to different roles. And 68% of such people have shown interest and have mentioned that in case they have that lateral movement where they are able to explore the breadth of the role of the function, they would be more than happy to to keep going to the course through the course and running their job as is, and they would not be interested in other opportunities. Going forward, another aspect would be the flexibility in working. This has been, I think, one of the highlights of today's conversation in all the discussions, that whether we need to go for hybrid or office, or working from home, how is it going to be? And I think the idea, or the best aspect about this is the discretion on the employees, the flexibility that we can provide to the employees, that you see, work either from office or from home, or in a hybrid mix. That is definitely up to you, and that is how an organization's leadership needs to, or the management needs to communicate this to their employees as well. Because before pandemic, before COVID-19 also, I think one third of the population, one third of the workforce was actually actively looking for flexibility in their roles. And now that we have 2 to 3 years of experience of working from home, especially 1 to 2 years of core working from home, and we have seen that it turns as actively, as nicely as it would have had an efficiency or effectiveness while working from office. This can be corroborated and included into the patterns, and a hybrid flexibility can be provided to the employees. Apart from this, I think also in recent times, because of working from home, one of the best outcomes has been that students from BBA also and an MBA also, I think, would have gotten the liberty and would have been able to leverage this opportunity to get some internships, work from home internships, while studying their course, which I think is a best option, best alternative, that while studying you are able to relate to a organization's culture, you're able to actually implement those things into how you are looking at it practically. So that I think is one of the highlights about the flexibility that has come with working from home. Another aspect, third aspect that I would like to throw some light upon would be recognition, rewards and recognition as a tool, as an anchor to retain the talent. Now, rewards and recognitions do not only mean increment or promotion, monetary hike, or a level up. That's all. No, it might mean that there is a continuous periodic check on your performance by your leaders, by your direct managers, by your peers, colleagues who are working with you in different projects, who are associated with you in different projects. They can give you the direct feedback. And thanks to the work from home portal environment, we are having more and more advanced technologies and softwares where we are able to gauge the feedbacks, and that is directly in correlation with our performance evaluations later on, year-end reviews and everything for any employee in the organization. So how do rewards and recognition actually impact the retention? I would like to give some figures. Society of Human Resources Management conducted surveys wherein they found out that 68% of the employees are motivated to work and to perform even better when they are given rewards and recognitions, which means they are either told that they are the best employee of the month, or maybe the best performer of the quarter, or the best performer in that particular project that was a one-off project maybe. And 70% of the population said that such rewards and recognitions, when they are promoted online on professional portals like LinkedIn, or even on social portals like Instagram or Facebook, that helps them attract the talent, the right talent. 70% of recruiting is because that they are able to, the prospective candidates are able to see that, oh, this company is really rewarding his or her, its employees in such a good manner. The kind of rewards they are giving, maybe monetary, maybe in terms of some benefits, or some just a certificate acknowledging that yes, you have been a good performer and you are very valuable to us. Even such things really help us achieve that kick, that motivation, that yes, I am something and I will want to work even harder. So like in the McLean's theory, if I have to correlate this to the students, I think need for achievement is something that everyone looks for. Need for achievement, affiliation power. So here the need for achievement factor gets fulfilled in its truest capacity, is what I have really felt on in my personal experience. So that's how important rewards and recognitions are. They also help us to bind us back to the organization's value. So for instance, one of DXC's value would be to deliver. Now, if I am able to complete my projects in such a capacity that my stakeholders are very happy the way I have delivered, they will go back and connect that to the DXC's value, that yes, I have delivered in a very efficient manner, in a very excellent manner, as is required by each and every employee of DXC, and they would reward me basis that. So I know that I am able to explicitly highlight those values in the way I am working my day job, in the day-to-day working of my activities, my roles and responsibilities. And that is that is the strategic aspect. It is very latent, it cannot be seen, it cannot be touched, it has highly latent, and you really have to go dig deep and understand that yes, rewards means that they are appreciating you to demonstrate those values of the organization for which you are working. Apart from this, I think the most prominent part of retaining the talent would be either compensation, or the rewards, or the health benefits. Now, because of COVID and because of the whole pandemic, a very unfortunate event, there was a lot of stress and a lot of significance that was placed on the health benefits and insurance as a policy from the organization's ends. And as a recruiter, I am supposed to be well aware of the things like compensation is one aspect that that a prospective candidate would look at. What beyond compensation am I able to provide them? That lies into the total rewards and the insurance or health plans that my organization or any other organization would be having. The total rewards again have different bifurcations in terms of some employee assistance programs which can help us deal and navigate through our health, mental well-being, as well as physical health well-being, not only ours but also our families, with medical professionals at our discretion that we can go and connect with, and the different coupons or assisting factors in terms of having something as simple as grocery shopping, or going and getting the restaurant discounts, which seems like a good extra thing, like okay, and as a sidekick it seems to be good enough. And apart from this, health insurance has played a very significant role. For instance, as an employer value proposition, what DXT would and does communicate to its prospective candidates is that, see, we are one of the leading insurance providers in the ITES organizations, because our insurance premium are very high. So that is an extra information that, okay, beyond my salary, beyond my CTC that we have discussed and negotiated, I will be getting a good health insurance if I do not have it yet, or maybe if I'm planning to get it because of the pandemic. So that's going to be a that extra pattern. Then apart from that, there are total rewards like employee assistance programs. Of course, that's very common across all the MNCs, all the renowned organizations. They would want to help their employees with their health and well-being, and still providing, not only providing but also motivating the employees to get those resources, to utilize those resources to the fullest capacity is another factor. So apart from the rewards recognitions or internal mobility or health insurance or flexibility, the most important aspect is the implementation of all these things. If I have dedicated policy for learning and development to help my employees upskill and get educated or aware on new technologies, or if I have employee assistance programs or some coupons which can be redeemed and reimbursed and every etc. So how is it that as an employee I'm not aware of the how to navigate or how to avail these benefits? As an HR professional, I think it is imperative for the business partners, for the HR business partners who are, working with specific business units, to acknowledge this, to give those knowledge sessions, to walk the employees through that whole process, that see, this is how you can avail the particular L&D policy which we have created exclusively for you to learn, upskill, and utilize those skills into your new projects that you can get after learning or after getting certified professionally. Or this is how you can use this employee assistance program. So the core lies into having this strategized from top to bottom, and the implementation also needs to be there from top to bottom, because that is it only lies into the implementation of the processes, of the policies that you have. 100% implementation would mean 100% satisfaction from the employees as well. So I think that is what I would want to contribute to the discussions that we've had from my personal experience. And yeah, it has been good sharing my insights, and looking forward to any questions that I can answer. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you so much, Riddhi, for sharing your experience with us and in this very engaging deliberation for our participants on the very issue of attrition in these uncertain times. We certainly have had some very noteworthy takeaways. Moving towards the question answer session, I would like to invite Dr. Asjad Usmani, Associate Professor, Banarsidas Chandiwala Institute of Professional Studies and a member of organizing committee of this HR Conclave, to take over the session and put forward the participants' queries to our esteemed experts. Over to you, Asjad sir.
Thank you, Latika. I am not associate professor, I'm assistant professor. So that is the thing. So good afternoon, everybody. So it gives me a great pleasure to be a part of the other side of the coin when you become a moderator for a question and answer session for our student. So it's a great pleasure for me to conduct this question and answer session for my student, Riddhi, and then her Simran, and then so anybody who you have to name the speaker to whom the question is addressed and try to be short and precise in your question. Yes. Anybody? Or you can write down in the chat box also. So we are waiting for the question. My first question will be to Akash. Akash, I am audible to you?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Akash, for you are in abroad, so the topic given me was a global perspective of HR. So when you compare the global perspective of HR with the Indian perspective, what you find? Do you find that there is any link or there is a lot of groundwork should be done in the Indian perspective to match it with the global perspective? Yes.
That's an interesting question. Thank you. I think HR professionals all across the world are kind of facing with how they can keep the employees engaged, how they can kind of, I mean, these have been these are unprecedented times. Something like this has never happened before, and at this magnitude. So, for HRs to keep employees engaged, there has been a global phenomenon, and I've heard that it has happened in India as well. The effects of it has spilled over in India too. It's called the Great Resignation or the Great Realization, where people have kind of, due to introspection, because of the time that they had, because of working from home, they've kind of looked into whether it is the right job for them or not. So there has been a lot of movement within the market, and suddenly it's become a candidates market. And now when they are kind of negotiating, they're not just negotiating for better salaries or better benefits, but they're also negotiating for hybrid work modules. They're also negotiating for being able to kind of telecommute. They're also negotiating for being able to work not within the boundary or the, you know, the geographical limit where the organization is, maybe probably outside of that jurisdiction, maybe in another city, in another state. So how to kind of keep employees engaged, how to attract employees, so bring down the attrition rate. So this is something which is of key in the HR domain. And then again, the fact that how to make sure that the employees are productive as well. So if they're working from home, how to make them how to keep them accountable and still not micromanage them. So I think this is another thing that has become more pronounced because of the pandemic. The third thing that has been exacerbated is how to how to kind of have balanced reliance on technology. Not to kind of completely be dependent on technology. Like what would you do if your technology infrastructure comes down? How to have that backup in procedure. And I'm not entirely sure, and I don't want to kind of have an overarching make an overarching comment on this. I'm not entirely sure if this has happened in India, but I've observed this in our part of the world and in some certain European countries as well, that they've kind of worked on having backup of their backups. So to have multiple mattresses to fall on, they've cushioned themselves in case of any major disruptions. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot. You have given the justification to my question. Thank you, Akash. Thank you. Now, there is one question for Mr. Avinash Pandey. The question is, how much human resource accounting is successful in Indian corporate domain? I think Ridhi can answer this question in a better way. Ridhi?
Sure, sir. So I think it's very much valid, Avinash, and the reason I would say so is because human resources in itself is not a revenue generating function. So we are a support function, and the relevance is that, and the importance of human resources accounting is that we really need to understand as to how much if we are planning sections of certain employees, so what is the percentage of those employees, what is their contribution in the system, how much validity do they have in terms of giving outcomes to and support while being a support function. So while I think you are not able to, as a support function, not able to generate revenue in an organization, it is imperative that you understand the cost benefit that is associated at each and every level, how many and even to plan the resources in the HR function accordingly. So that's my uh, insight about it. I hope I was able to answer the question.
पप्पा ये बाहेर कसं निघतं हे ओपन का बरं होत नाहीये हे उघडत नाही तुमचं मशीन
Vidhi, I want to ask a question. How do we retain the employee with minimum acceptable salary as the expectation of employee increase nowadays?
Yes, ma'am. That's actually a good question because, especially in early graduate roles, early career programs where we are, and all of the organizations are, targeting on campus freshers or graduates or fresh from the college. Of course, the salary aspect would be a little less for them, but the learning would be more. So if I, concentrate my answer to specifically to such graduates, such freshers, I would say that even though salary aspect matters a lot initially, and it seems like that seems a little less or a little more. I could get more here or there. I think after a couple of months, and this is my personal experience because I have that. Last 10 months I've been hiring for early career professionals. Although they have that hunch in the initial stage that okay ma'am the salary is a little less, but as they go forward they see that the kind of training that has been imparted to them or that is being imparted to them for the first 3 to 6 months of their joining is so huge, is so big in its nature itself that they learn a lot. So of course for the starting for graduates it might be a more customer centric or customer facing role that you get put into, and before putting you into that role you will get trained very proficiently onto different aspects, be it soft skill, be it technical skills. And after you start working you realize that the kind of work that comes your way and beyond that the kind of appreciation that comes your way is a lot more. And training as well as the rewards which are associated while working, while being on the job train, but being be it on the job training or rewards or the recognition, it all gives a better outcome, it all gives a better satisfaction than the initial hunch of that less salary package. So and in my experience a lot of people who I have hired and onboarded in the last 10 to 12 months, they've come back and they've told me that ma'am if there is any other opportunity in the same role I would like to refer my friends because I'm really happy with this particular role. I am getting so much learning opportunities here as well as a lot of recognitions from my managers, from my superiors. So I think for of course for the first few months or first few days it seems like I could have gotten better opportunities, a little skeptical because we are getting fresh out of college and we do not have that much understanding. But as we go forward I think it really trains us, it really molds us into a professional, and with higher studies and better opportunities it's amazing how they will come and how what they will become in future.
Thank you, Ricky. Thank you.
Thank you
Wonderful.
very much.
Now, there is one question that deals with the cost cutting and firing. So, I would like to make this question to Harsimran. Harsimran, how, as in the field of recruitment area, you deal with this type of question that comes to you that there is a salary cut and there is a firing? How you deal with this?
See, in our industry in edtech, there is a constant need of more people, and as it's only a 10 years old, but we still call us ourselves a startup. So there is a constant hiring and firing going on. But yes, we do try to retain the right talent. And if someone is actually not because some people as freshers they just want to explore their option, and when they come in the company and they realize ki maybe okay it's not for me, they leave. So it's an option, like it's open for both. I mean, we would not want someone to force to stay and work if they don't like it. So but yes, we do try to retain the right talent, and cost cutting is obviously something that the company will always look into. And recently a lot of startups have laid off people. There's Misho, there is there's one more company, 2 3 companies. They've recently laid off many people because of so extreme I believe the marketing and the branding that they have been doing. In our company also we got the sponsorship for World Cup, so that we have to compensate in some way. So that is how the it relates, that if we are spending so much on marketing, we need to compensate it by that way. So Hence, the cost cutting is I know it's a tough option, but we have to take it.
Thank you, Harshit, thank you. Okay, Azad,
yes, sir,
yeah,
please.
Akash, how are you? Akash, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I'm good, sir. How are you?
Okay, fine. So Akash, one question for you, because basically you see the COVID-19, that pandemic that affect globally, right? You are working abroad, and so my question to you: how COVID affect the mindset of employees, and how do we handle that mindset?
They were confused. They were as confused as we were, sir. The employees were confused. We had to sit with them. We had to kind of explain. And that is, okay, I might sound like a broken record, but I keep saying this again and again, and to my fellow professionals as well, that communication is very important. If you are not out there, if you're not speaking to your employees, and if you're not walking the talk, and in fact, it kind of links to retention as well. I have a colleague who works with a company here, and their management decided that they'll have to take, because they were impacted by the closures, right? So the business was impacted, the bottom line was impacted. So they said we'll have to, some employees will have to take a pay cut, and this was something that they decided and implemented. But before implementing it, they had a meeting with all their workforce, and they said our management team, our executives are also going to take a pay cut. So this is happening across the board. So we will take a pay cut, and then we'll go back and look at our books and see if we can kind of manage with that intervention. If not, then we'll have to kind of increase it to, or move it across the board, and other employees may be impacted by it. They'll also have to take a pay cut, but it would be much better than laying off certain employees, rather than having nothing and sitting at home and relying on government income supplemental benefits. It's good that you'll get to keep your job, and temporarily you will take a pay cut. And once we are out of this, once we've crossed the the raging fire, then we'll bring back to your original salaries. So I mean, coming back to your question, there was a lot of confusion, and they were kind of as perplexed as we were. It was like navigating a maze. Particularly here, things were changing. They were worried. Initially, they were worried about themselves, and then after that realization, they were worried about their family members. So people with comorbidities, people who had underlying health issues. So they were worried, okay, even if I am healthy, even from work I'm vaccinated, and even I am following all the precautions, what happens if I become a carrier and I take the illness home, if I take the virus home? So then they were worried about that. So we had to kind of sit and counsel them through that. After that, they were worried about their kids. People in this generation, so the millennials, even Gen Z, we call them the sandwich generation. We call them the sandwich generation, particularly millennials, because they have the responsibility of taking care of their parents and the elders at home, and they also have kids, right? So they're kind of sandwiched between these generations, and they have to be responsible and accountable to both of them. So they were worried. They had childcare needs. The schools are closed. People, my kids are taking classes online. How do I work? I have to be online, I have to work, I have to focus on my work, but I also have to make sure that my kid is on the computer, not surfing something else, not kind of watching a Taylor Swift video or what's happening with Rihanna. They're actually focused on what they're teaching in school. So we had to kind of counsel them through that as well. So it was chaotic, but communication, like proactive communication, made it much easier to kind of come out of this.
Thank you, Akash.
Very good. Now, yes, anybody else who want to ask any question? Now, as we are running short of time, so
Last Aparna, yes.
Yes, Tanushri, ma'am.
So, very good afternoon, and I know this is like we are skipping the lunch time, so everybody is in a hurry to conclude. But this is a very valid question. I was wondering, like this is open for all the panelists. My question is, like during this pandemic, with so many of digital interventions, what is practice and what is advisable for the companies? Like giving opportunity to the existing employee for reskilling, upskilling, and multi-skilling, or hiring or a kind of niche skill set, hiring an employee with a niche skill set. What is practiced in general to the organizations and what is advisable? So I hope I'm clear with my question. Thank you. So anybody could start answering on the question.
I can try answering the question, ma'am. Thank you. It's a very interesting question and a very relevant one too. I've seen mid-sized company and small-sized company rely on gig economy workers. So they said, even though we are laying you off, and it's part of cost cutting, and it has to be done in consultation with the staff members, with the employees, so that when they go out, they don't go out with resentment in their hearts. So they understand it. So the consultation is, okay, we cannot afford it. We are in a crunch right now, but we would still want to kind of keep you on board and keep receiving your services. So how is it going to work? And then number of options are presented. Either we lay you off, you get the termination and severance package if severance is applicable, and then you are a contractual worker. So you are a consultant to us. So that ways we are still able to pay you, but we save on the benefits, and you are responsible for benefits. And from your end, because you're an independent consultant, you could get registered as a business or a sole proprietor, and you would save on taxes, because whatever expenses you would incur can be claimed at the time of filing the tax return. So the reliance on contingent workers or gig economy workers have increased. That's what I've seen with small and medium enterprises here, and they've fared really well. It's very ingenious, very creative, saved the companies from going down under, and the employees were happy, to some of them at least, and the others may not be happy, but then in difficult, desperate times, desperate measures. So, I mean, overall, I see it as a success.
Yeah, thank you, Akash. But then what happens to the talk that we used to do, like reskilling, upskilling, and multi-skilling of the existing employees? That's what I'm very much curious about.
Those companies, again, it comes back to, boils down to the fact that the companies can afford it. If the companies can afford it, my personal recommendation would be to invest in the employee, because a happy employee, a trained employee is a loyal employee. They would kind of align themselves with the company's objectives. And if they are appreciated, because they also feel appreciated, if the company sees the potential in me and they're investing in me. But if the company cannot afford it, if they don't have deep pockets, then there is no option. But the first approach is definitely what you said, that they should invest in either reskilling, upskilling, or multi-skilling. Everybody, I think, in today's day and age, should be jack of all trades and master of none, because specializations breeds contempt, and specialization kind of restricts you. So you should have your expertise in at least 5 different domains within a functional unit.
Thank you, Akash. Understandable.
Azad, unmute yourself. Azad, you are on mute. Azad, mute. Please unmute yourself. Azad, you are on mute.
Sir, you are on mute. Azad, sir.
Azad, you are on mute.
Okay. Thank you so much. We thank all our experts for this valuable and thought-provoking discussion. It was indeed a wonderful session with some noteworthy takeaways. We are really obliged with all of your presence, and we have gained some truly valuable and practical insights from the industry. May I now request Ms. Tanushri, Assistant Professor BCIPS and the member of the organizing committee of this conclave, to present the valedictory note.
Thank you, Latika ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So a very good afternoon to everyone. I feel really privileged to present the valedictory note after the intellectually stimulating deliberations that we had today. Any amount of words of appreciation will fall short about the volume of knowledge we've gained listening to all our esteemed dignitaries and industry practitioners. Nevertheless, I'll try to summarize the accumulated understanding from this event. In the inaugural session of our HR Conclave, we got to hear some wonderful insights and perspectives from all our dignitaries. The session began with the welcome address by our director, Dr. Aparna Mishra, who aptly highlighted that COVID has proved to be a major challenge for business, and HR has played a crucial role in ensuring organizational stability and strength. She said that HR management has been at the center of the transformation that we have seen in the past 2 years and needs to further redefine the workforce and the workplace to ensure organizational resilience and success. Ma'am also touched upon the emerging trends of remote working, data-driven HR, post-COVID workforce models, employee safety, and holistic well-being. Our chief guest for the day, Captain Ved Singh, Director Implementations, Customer Success and Strategic Partnership, Darwinbox, whose presence indeed was a source of great motivation, shared his expertise on the theme transitioning to the hybrid work environment, sustainability in the long run. Sir talked about the Darwinbox theory and said that only the most flexible and adaptable organizations are going to survive and thrive in future. He touched upon concepts of engagement, productivity, and fairness, and said that the hybrid work model is here to stay, and organizations need to adapt their cultures and practices for the same. He also discussed some relevant Gallup survey findings about what the organizations are thinking about the hybrid model. Our distinguished keynote speaker, Ms. Jaspreet Kaur, Global Learning Specialist, KPMG Global Services, talked about leveraging great employee experiences for ultimate productivity. Ma'am said that we need to look beyond just an organization's culture and focus on employees' emotions to ensure a great employee experience. She said that HR is the heart of every business and focused on the need for employee support, employee development, sense of freedom, work-life balance, and a personal touch or compassion for enhancing employee experience. Next, we have the privilege to listen to our guest of honor, Ms. Harpreet Kaur, Associate Director, HR, Radisson Group, Gurgaon, who presented her insights about skilling, upskilling, and reskilling the workforce, which is the need of the hour today. Ma'am talked about how in the post-COVID scenario, the focus has shifted on training and developing employee skills to survive and thrive in business. She said that the importance of training should not be undermined, and also talked about how the hotel industry is regularly investing in the upskilling and reskilling of their employees, which is helping in enhancing employee satisfaction and retention, along with increasing the productivity of the organization. It was a pleasure listening to our guest of honor, Mr. Alok Kumar, co-creator and director, Work Studio Co-working. He expressed his views about the HR implications of the rising trend of co-working spaces. He discussed about how the pandemic has brought about major changes in the organizational culture and the way work is done. He said that businesses are presently moving towards co-working spaces as these have provided operational and cost advantages to the businesses. He also talked about how his organization's HR practices and their present work model is functioning. Subsequently, our special guest, Ms. Megha Sen, VP and Chief HR Officer, Technopark Advisors Limited, presented her valuable insights on a very relevant theme of the role of HR in managing mental health and well-being of the workforce during pandemic. She rightly said that both organization and employee health are important for business viability. She said that the entire organizational ecosystem was challenged during the pandemic times and emphasized how it made things difficult for employees. She talked about how HR automation and a personal connect helped managing the situation, and also deliberated on the relation that the mental well-being and the productivity have with organizational success. The inaugural session concluded with our esteemed special guest, Ms. Mridul Sharma, Strategy Lead, EY GDS, expressing her views about the contemporary theme of employee engagement through cost optimization. She said that engagement optimizes cost during the entire hire to retire cycle. She talked about the ways in which engagement reduces the absenteeism and attrition costs, optimizing the training costs, and enhances productivity. She said that disengagement of employees is very costly for any organization, and that is why it's pertinent to have significant employee engagement strategies in place. Subsequently, our technical sessions saw our industry practitioners sharing their valuable organizational experiences and insights with the audience. Our first esteemed speaker, Ms. Madhu, founder and CEO Skill Cloud, deliberated upon the need for maintaining holistic health for employees. She discussed about the uncertain times we are living in and the need for emphasizing on mental health and acknowledging emotional issues. She said that she regularly counsels her employees who are facing mental health and well-being issues. She discussed how her organization took care of their employees during the difficult times and were emotionally available for them. She said that during the pandemic, they realized that team with work from home was a lot more difficult from work from office as the lines were not drawn clearly, and also touched upon aspects like psychosocial behavior, mutual respect, work-life balance, mindfulness, and teamwork. It was indeed a pleasure to listen to our next speaker, Mr. Akash Bhardwaj, HR Manager, Vibano Center for Aboriginal Health Canada, who talked about effective HRM practices from a global perspective. He said that disruptions in business are bound to happen, and the organizations need to do contingency planning and evolve constantly. He deliberated upon the ways in which the healthcare sector throughout the world adapted during the pandemic and specified the ways in which his organization met the challenge. He shared his personal experience and how his organization has taken care of the contingency and come to terms with the change scenario through constant communication and reassuring the employees. He rightly said that connecting with employees and reaching out has been the key. He also touched upon pertinent aspects like organizational resilience, continuity, flexibility, digital equity, hybrid work, condensed work week, change team dynamics, and the need for a customized approach to manage HR. The next speaker, Mr. Harsimranjeet Singh, Recruitment Associate Bcips, talked to the audience about the blended approach to work post-COVID. He shared his own experience about the difference he felt between work from home and work in an office setting and what the future of work looks like, while touching upon the way in which the pandemic has normalized remote work. He also shared some data from researchers done about the flexi work model and talked about the advantages of a blended approach to work. The technical session was aptly concluded by Ms. Riddhi Bhalla, Associate Professional HR DXC Technology, who shared her views and experience about managing the attrition post-COVID. She talked about employee job satisfaction and engagement being the key ingredients of employee retention programs in her organization, and also focused upon important aspects affecting retention like a proactive leadership, internal sourcing and respectful treatment of employees, reward and recognition, mutual trust between employees and management, job security, and the opportunities that have to be given to employees to use their skills and abilities at work. I, on behalf of the Institute and the audience, am once again very thankful to all our dignitaries and experts, as well as our audience, for the wonderful, thought-provoking discussion that was held today. I'm sure our audience would have been greatly benefited by the valuable wisdom you shared with them in this HR Conclave. Thank you, and over to you, Latika.
Thank you, Tanushri ma'am. Now, I would like to request Dr. Suniti Chandyok, Associate Professor, Bcips, and member of the organizing committee of this HR Conclave, to present the vote of thanks. Suniti ma'am.
Thank you, Latika. Distinguished guest speakers of the day, Ms. Madhu, Mr. Akash Bhardwaj, Mr. Harsimran Singh, and Ms. Riddhi Bhalla, our participant and the organizing committee, faculty and staff of the Institute, and my loving students. I feel honored to present a vote of thanks on this great occasion. I, on behalf of BCIP's family, hereby extend my sincere thanks for gracing the event, sharing your valuable thoughts, vision, input, and experience. We have honored to have presence of our extreme speaker, Ms. Madhu. In her address, she spoke about holistic health, need of mental health and well-being in the professional life. Thank you, ma'am, for blessing the event with your presence. We are privileged to have the presence of Honorable Speaker, Mr. Akash Bhardwaj. Sir highlighted on effective HR practices in global perspectives. He quoted that continuity and resilience are the two aspects in order to ensure good working culture of an organization. As HR professional, one need to connect and communicate with their team. We are thankful for your valuable address. Thank you, Akash. Thank you very much. We are privileged to have presence of our next guest speaker, Mr. Harsimran Singh. He focused on the topic, blended approach of work post-COVID. He focused on various surveys and conducted by hybrid model and have to lead a high retention rate among the employees. Thank you, Harsimran, for your valuable words. Our last resource person, Ms. Riddhi Bhalla, during her address, she emphasized on managing attrition post-COVID. She discussed retention strategies, namely flexibility in work style, reward, recognition, employee assistance program would be definitely cut down employee retention. Thank you, Riddhi. Thank you very much. We sincerely hope that our audience today would have benefited, immersed by getting this opportunity to listen and interact with our illustrious speakers and would be engaged to learn more from such in future. I thank to our Honorable Vice Chairman, Sir, Vipul Gupta, Sir, respected Director, Ma'am, Dr. Aparna Mishra, for having a continuous guidance and support for organizing this great event. I thank you all, the participant, for participating and making the event a great success. I thanks to our organizing committee, Dr. Devinder Sharma, Sir, Dr. Azjad Usmani, Dr. Latika Malhotra, Ms. Tanushri, and our faculty, staff, students. Without their support, it was not possible to organize this event. I would like to thank Ms. Parki and Ms. Swarnika for their contribution in reporting the event. Thank you. Last but not the least, I thanks my student committee, especially Gitanshu, Bharat, Pulkit, Samrat, Prashant, and Himanshu. To conclude, let me once again repeat that without you all, we will never have the courage to make it happen. So thank you all. Thank you very much. Over to Latika.
Thank you, Suniti ma'am. With this, we are formally concluding our HR Conclave Manthan. On behalf of BCIPS, I thank you all for making time in your busy schedules to join us, and thank you all for being with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Akash. Harsimran, thank you very much.
Thank you to all.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.